Alright, I'm moving the ham. Right as I unmute my mic, I had to cough. I just finished eating, so I am fully hyped up. I actually have energy. I'm ready. I'm ready to have the stream and ready to talk to people. And just as I figured, it's actually probably a better idea just to mention at the start of the streams randomly than at some point when they ask me. But just because, you know, the title of the stream, like, you got a picture in the background is Selene. The title has, you know, Fairy Tale, and it has Black Clover, has Eden Zero. Any series that I read, or if you just have questions, like even older series, if you wanted to ask us, then go ahead. But for now, I actually managed to get the tweet out first. I put the notification in one of the Discords that I'm in that you know, that's like, hey, I'm streaming. So I can focus on the chat way earlier. Focus on the chat. I still need to do my Yuri and Ivan videos, but like I actually know what I think how to do it now. Like I figured out how to use the video program or video editing system that I have, and I'm hoping now they'll become way easier. And I also realized, like, when I did the macro video, I recorded it all in one go. Like, I wrote down what I wanted to say, but I recorded the whole thing in one go. So anytime I messed up, you know, I pretty much would just, you know, stop for a few seconds, and then I would wait to edit out. But that makes it so much longer, rather than just, like, if I do a couple clips. Because then I have to listen to the whole thing over again, and it takes so long to get through, you know, the raw audio. And it's like, if I can finish one and like one part I do without any issues, then I don't have to really worry about that. It's like, okay, this 5-minute segment I can just skim through because this one I know that I didn't mess up on anything that I was trying to say. But let me get to some of the comments. What's up, Jared Punch? How's it going? Talahim, how are you today? What's up, Gene? Dravanob, how are you guys doing? Raul Ryu, how are you doing today? Darnell Mitchell is here as well. Like a fucking stream. If you want, I wasn't gonna swear at him, but I mean, I was gonna ask politely. But I would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. I had a very frustrating afternoon. Over sometime in December, I bought this like little hot dog toaster. It's literally like the size of a toaster, but it's kind of like you know, when you see one of the hot dog cookers at like a gas station where it has the little rotary parts on the top, and then it has like this little area you put these buns in. And I don't know why it's not heating up. Like, it happened to me the last time I used it, and then it started working, and I was like, oh, I must have done something wrong. And I was trying to figure it out for like 2 hours, because I didn't want to throw it away. And then I just got frustrated, and I have an air fryer, so I just put the hot dogs and the buns that I was having.
Shit.
Oh.
You just busted a nut.
100 Years Quest versus Eden Zero. I mean, obviously I'm going to pick 100 Years Quest. That's not fair. That's not fair at all. Like, I really like Eden Zero as well, but I mean, like, even in the basis, if you counted Fairy Tale at the same number as Eden Zero, or if you just counted 100 Years Quest, obviously I'm going to pick 100 Years Quest, because like, Fairy Tale is also more of my style. Like, I really like the fantasy, wizards, and magic setup. Eden Zero is able to kind of keep a little bit of that, but doing it in a very sci-fi setting. So it's able to kind of get my intention on top of I'm interested in, you know, I still like sci-fi, but it's not my favorite, obviously. And then I imagine that sci-fi people can still like it. But yeah, thank you for the 5, I think, pounds. I don't remember if it's pounds or euros, but I really appreciate it. Oh yeah, but so I put these hot dogs that I had and the buns just in my air fryer, and it took like 4 minutes. So I spent like 2 hours trying to figure out how this works, and it's like, I can just use this air fryer. And I'm kind of salty about it, because it means not only did I just waste 2 hours, but it's like, I wasted, I think, like $45 on this hot dog toaster. I'm hoping it's not broken, and it's like I'm just doing something wrong, because I do like it, and I don't know. I don't want to throw it away, but then it's a waste, but it's like I'm not going to keep it if it's broken. I got done reading The War of Discoveries prologue. What's that? I'm not sure I know exactly what that is. What's up, Peter Campbell? How's it going? Jason Bornat, how are you? Irene in July. I mean, Irene at any point of the year, man. I really am hoping we get to see an Irene and Selene just moment of confrontation, because I assume she's gonna get her body back somehow in this arc, because the thing is we know that she has the technique that she can enchant personalities into weapons and then give them a physical form. So she just has to teach Wendy how to do that, and Wendy could put her personality into something. Maybe get a staff, because we know that she used a staff, so maybe somehow with that. I don't really know. it's possible. And you know, we already know it could easily make sense. Like I said, like she's already done it. She knows she can talk to Wendy. She can teach Wendy how to do it. We know like the characters are right now in L tier have some form of boost that they all don't know about yet. The only person we've seen that has demonstrated their upgraded version of their magic is Lucy, but she did it unintentionally. So we don't know exactly what the main cast is all capable of right now. So when it comes to that, like I can easily see Irene getting her body back somehow through Wendy. Like I said, it's easy explanation I already gave because it's already established that she can do this. And then just I want to. They don't have to fight. I just want to see Irene and Selene trying to like have a verbal match where it's just them trying to talk down to each other. Well, both of them these big alpha women, so I just want to see how that would go verbally. I think that'd be pretty sick. But yeah, let me get some more of these comments. How's my day going so far? Well, I mean, for the most part, it's good. The hot dog stuff was the only frustrating part because I was just like, I didn't know if it was broken. And I had this problem the last time, like I said, I used it. And then it's like, oh, it's not broken. And then I didn't know what I was doing wrong this time. I'm not too sure. I'm hoping that if I just leave it alone, maybe try it again later, it'll be fine. I mean, I don't know why I'm going to really try again later because it's like it took me, like even when I did do it before, it took like, I want to say, oh, my cat is like touching my screen. Hey, quit it. Don't stretch on my screen, you goofy cat. That's an expensive monitor. She's just hanging out. She wanted to join the stream. But, yeah, it's like, it still took, like, even when it worked, like, 20 to 30 minutes. I'm like, I don't know why I just didn't use this air fryer. So it makes me kind of, like, wonder, I guess I wasted money on this. I don't know. I'm kind of salty about it. I don't know, maybe I'll keep it somewhere and then donate it or something. I mean, if it's broken, though, and I donate it, then I'm kind of a bad guy. I don't know. I guess I might just have to throw it away. So, kind of salty on that, but it's not a big deal. It was more salty to me because I was hungry the whole time, and I was like, I'm so determined to do this. But I was like, it was like a half hour ago, and I'm like, I wanted to stream, and I already messed up some of my schedule today. Like, that actually is another thing. I meant to join RTL Faith stream, but I forgot about it, and then I also scheduled, like, I didn't know about it, and then I told my brother I was going to play games with him, and then he ended up canceling me last minute after I had to cancel on RT last minute. So karma came back at me. But other than that, like, I'm good. Nothing crazy. More of, like, just mild frustrations. Shihun forms Soul Cartel solos. I don't know anything about Soul Cartel. What that guy do? But also, it's not spelled like that. Tail. Is it like, what can the guy do? I read, like, a chapter of Soul Cartel. Like, I don't really... I'm not a huge fan of the manhwa. I'm pretty sure it's a manhwa, but, like, I don't know. Something about it, I'm just like, eh. What do you think of the Eden Zero trailer? I was really hyped for the PV. I kind of want to wait until, like, a full trailer comes out, but at the same time, I don't know. I wanted to do some form of reaction, but it's like, I don't really know what I would do, just because it was such a short clip. But, I mean, I don't know. I probably should have, but, I mean, whatever. I for sure will do one for a full trailer, because that was a PV. That was just like a little clip. When we get a full trailer, or anything longer, regardless if we get another PV, if we just get a couple more scenes shown, I will do one for that. I kind of regret not doing it for the Eden Zero first one, but I mean, like, it's been like a week now, so it's like, I don't really know, like, if I would, if I did it, if anyone would really care. Plus, I can just talk about it here. But I did really like it. I thought it was good, and it gave me hope that if they end up doing a 100 Years Quest anime, then it could get nice quality animation like this. Like, I don't need it to have, like, Kimetsu no Yaiba or Jujutsu Kaisen level quality. I just want it to look good. I want it to look good and be consistent. I don't need to have top tier, the peak of everything. The only time, like, I really would like things to look pristine are very important plot point moments. Like if they got to, like, the Mercephobia fight, I'd be like, please, I just need that especially to look good. And like, primarily when Natsu goes ham after he gets he eats Igneous Flames. That to me would be like the biggest one that I'd be like, you need to funnel your time and budget on this part. But yeah, let's see. What's up, Guillotine? How are you? Good talking Discord, Rex. Kimura, best Eden Zero girl. I mean, I'm not gonna deny that. Like, people really like Kimura. I was thinking about it. Like, I don't think there's any girl right now in Eden Zero that I'd rank above Homura. Like, everyone likes Homura. She's got a really good backstory. She's got cool powers. She has a really good design. She's got a very good personality. She's also funny. I think people will really like Kimura when the anime comes out as well. She'll probably blow up this year, to be perfectly honest. Like, I think she's going to become one of the big hype women. Kind of like Urza. I mean, I was going to say like Urza, but Urza is still really popular. People still love her. Well, even people that aren't even like big Fairy Tail fans love Urza. What's up, Tusk? How are you doing? Looking back at the War Discovery's prologue grouping. Oh, is this for your fan fiction? I was trying to think of like war discoveries. I was like super confused. What's up, JK Network and Jason? How are you guys? So Xenolith Solo's One Piece? Not yet. So I scaled the size of Foresta. It's like 13 kilometers. So it's like a solid island level because it's a 13 kilometer wide sphere and not like a flat island. Like, because if it was like 13 kilometers, like just flat, I mean, you could probably get something like closer to small island level. But I mean, like 13 spherical is still really good. And obviously, like, it wasn't like a destruction move. It was more of it was just like an AoE gravity kind of grabs. So it's still really good. It won't surprise me if he can. Right now, I mean, like, he's got a good hacks. We just need to see exactly the extent of it. But I mean, like, he's already, like, if you put Xenolith in One Piece, like, he already would be near the top. The only thing that really would stop him right now, I'd say, is just that we haven't seen that much of him. That's really it. But Mishima just does crazier power levels than Oda. I mean, Xenolith could drop an ocean on One Piece first. I really want to see, like, the actual extent. Because the thing about Gravity Center is it's not a destruction move. It's not even, like... I wouldn't even call it really much of an AoE attack. It's way more of like a CC move. Like it has way more crowd control effects than it does like any form of like real destructive abilities, like it says. But like if he did, I feel like if he did that with say, if he just did, oh my god, what is the general kind of just push like gravity drop down version that's more of like actually crushing things. I mean, I guess he did do it casually, so he could probably, if he wanted to, just kind of crush anything on the surface of Foresta. But still, like he's definitely already up there, regardless of lack of feats. Like that feat alone, and then the whole true gravity transcending concepts. He's already got like a really good hacks. So, like I said, I legitimately believe like if we see like another feat or two from him, then he'll be above One Piece. I mean, it's just how it is. He's gonna teach Shiki the ways of the Gravity Master. What I want to know more is generally what Shiki's going to leave Foresta from Xenolith. I kind of am hoping it's not like he's going to do like, oh, I'm going to stand, we're going to have like a short training arc. I'm hoping more for, I'm hoping more for like kind of he would give him like a scroll or something. Like, I just imagine some form of oh, this is a technique and some knowledge behind it. Like he just would give him some new move or some form of, just little bits of information that will help him progress down the Magimech art style. Or, is it art style? I guess martial art style? Either way, like that entire style for the Ether Gear, I'm hoping that it's kind of more like that. Just because I'm alright with him learning stuff from Xenolith. I just don't think we should have, like, any form of training arc right now. But I think, like I said, like if he gets somehow some information from that he's learning about over time, like over maybe the course of like the next 10 to 20 chapters, that'd be good. I would like that. Or like legitimately if he just gives some more kind of wording on that whole stuff about like his heart being in the abyss, and then Shiki just kind of starts to really mull over that. I think that would be really good too. Yeah, once again, thank you for the 5. If it's euros or pounds, I don't know, man. I'm not European. I'm American. I know it's one of them. I'm pretty sure he's told me before. That's the unfortunate part. But like so many of these other money symbols, like I forget. Like I know dollars, obviously, but like out of the other ones, I don't think there's any that I concrete remember the symbol. It is what it is, but I feel like that's one of those things that it's... I mean, I'd say it doesn't really matter exactly what type it is. I still appreciate the donation. I mean, plus he's got this sick red Space Ranger. Like, come on. In Space is definitely one of the best. I would say Lost Galaxy is still my favorite. Let me scroll down. Rax apparently in chapter 12 of Attack on Titan manga, in the panel where it shows Eren punching a roof. You can see the future Eren and Zeke standing at the back. I've seen that theory, but like I don't know. That's a weird one for me because it's literally like two silhouettes of people. And that's one of those ones where I feel like he had those two characters standing there and he's able to work it into it. Like, I still fully believe that he had a lot of the stuff planned out from the start. I mean, you can look at the title of chapter 1. But I that's one of the ones that I'm kind of iffy on. But I do believe that, like, most of the stuff, like the part where Aaron's, like, talking to his dad, and his dad is, like, looking out the door, talking about the key, that I fully believe. Like, he definitely had that planned out. The one where they're standing there, that's probably the only one I've seen that I'm like, I think you guys are kind of reaching on that one. But, I mean, I could be wrong. Easily could be wrong. But it doesn't matter. You see Selene will soon figure out Winnie's connection to Irene will try to kill her. I don't know. That's the thing. So, like, beforehand, I thought Selene would have some form of grudge against Irene for creating Acnologia, but I mean, like, if she's fine with the Earth being, like, Earthland being destroyed, and she's fine with just watching it, you know, get completely decimated for her own enjoyment, she might like Irene for that. I don't know, like, Selene is thrown, like, a big wrench into what I believe a lot of people would have believed her character to be like, with the fact that she just seems to want to be entertained, and she doesn't care about worlds being destroyed in the process. It also makes me really curious to know if Moondragons even are initially from Earthland, just from the fact that they can freely travel through dimensions. Like, they could easily be one of those species that maybe have their own, like, mystical, like, realm, and they kind of originate from, and they start out there and maybe go to Earthland. I don't know. Like, Selene is a very odd character already, and there's a lot of questions about her. It's kind of like how with, I gotta turn my gain down. It's kind of like with Eden Zero, like, Ziggy being a machine makes such a very, very strange wrench thrown into, like, any form of, like, trying to contemplate and theorize what this guy, like, his origins, because somebody made him, or either he was some organic machine, but then it's like, are there more? There's a lot of questions, like, just in general around these two characters I'm really happy about. People are mad the captains are strong enough to hurt the Triad, yet they want Triad to win all the time. I mean, the Triad, though, aren't trying. That's the thing. Like, Xenon hasn't gone past 55%. Vonica was literally just getting out of her chair. And Dante, we know Dante, he's fine, like, with the idea of him getting pressed, because that's when he starts getting motivated. When Dante starts getting in a bad spot, that's when he starts actually getting really motivated to start working. He likes those kind of miserable and upsetting emotions, because he doesn't experience, like, a lot of emotions, and when they're forced upon him is when he just gets all riled up. So, I mean, because the formatting of these last 3 chapters, and really 4 if you want to count Marileona, it's all about giving these guys the spotlight. And it's not like this is the only thing that the Spade has. Like, they've got Morris, they've got that one shining general that seems to actually be of relevance, we don't know. We've got other devils coming out. Like, literally all it'll take to completely throw everything off, even in the idea that the Triad aren't gonna just, like, if you wanted to look at the idea of, like, oh, the Triad aren't gonna just, you know, turn around and start stomping soon. Just under the assumption that they're actually getting pressed somehow. All it'll take is one devil to get out. All it would take is one devil to get out. Just the first part of the gate to open, and things will switch. We already saw what one devil is capable of. And even the idea, it's like, oh, well, Zagrid maybe is above most of the tree or something. Like, if you want to do off something like that, he still took a lot to defeat. So even if the first devil that comes out is half of him, that's still a massive addition into what the Spade has. Prediction: Ziggy eventually kills Xenolith. I fully believe that. Like, them having a showdown wouldn't surprise me, but Ziggy definitely seems like somebody who would be fine completely destroying, his mentor if it meant, proceeding in whatever plans he has. Apparently taking over, or the machine uprising. Like, he's like half Skynet, half Darth Vader, essentially. Pounds. Yeah, see, I just get him confused, because there's so many smaller types of currency, like, within the vicinity of like, Europe. I know there's a bunch of different kinds, and they're all really close together. Like, legitimately, I do wish that, like, if we had the UN get together and they all just decided on one currency, that's probably one of the only things I was like, I wish we could universally make one thing. Like, I'm, like, because I know, like, other languages, that has obviously more to do with, like, cultures and history, but I don't know, I feel like money could easily just be kind of all just melded into one. Maybe make it look like the planet or something, Earth. Or, I don't really know what they would pick. I mean, I'd be perfectly fine literally with just the numbers, nothing fancy. But, I don't know, I do really wish that we would all have one currency. Because there's, keep in mind, there are currencies that we probably, like, I was gonna say we, but it's like, you can really look at an individual level. There's currencies that are out there that you probably couldn't name. Like, there's a ton of currencies that, like, if I went and Googled all types of currency, there's gonna be a bunch on there I've never heard of. And I'm sure, like, everybody's gonna have a couple of those on there. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the difference between pounds and euros there, Hassan. I mean, it is what it is. Ironwood being handled better than the Fang. Ironwood was good in the Ironwood was when I haven't watched the new season. It'll be a while. Like, honestly, I might just wait for another season or two to come out. Like, my drive for RWBY has really dropped off after, like, the way the writing has been, and then just the drama that's been going on at Rooster Teeth and stuff over the last couple of years. Ironwood was actually one of the only parts of the previous season that I liked. I liked, like, him, Penny, and Winter, and Salem. They were the people that made me kind of be like, happy that the season, well, happy in the totality of the season. Also, I liked Watts and Ren. I thought they were good. Rax and his hot dog toaster. That was frustrating, dude. I was so upset about that because I was like, I don't want to throw it away, but at the same time, I'm not going to keep it around if it's broken. I don't really know what my plan is. I might just put it in a cupboard for a bit. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll plug it back in. It'll work. Who knows? I mean, like, it was one of the things that I looked at the reviews beforehand. It's something that there were more positive reviews than negative, but it's like, if it's not going to work, then it's not going to work. So do you think Elsie and Justice will only have one major fight against each other, and every other time oh, no. Theirs is their main fight, so this is just the first time. We'll probably get another, like, my guess is, like, 2 more fights of them or something, and then, like, the third one would be, like, the last. Who knows exactly how many, but there's no way this would be the only time we really get a good fight between them. Why did the community lose their shit about Xenolith Fee? Oh, it's just because, like, Foresta is a planet, but it was, like, people assumed it was planet, like, Earth, like, planet size like Earth. It wasn't that big. It was still a big upgrade for Eden Zero for, like, a single individual to do. Like, and it was casual. And it has hacks on top of it, so it's still good, regardless. Like, no matter what, it's still really good. The thing is, it's just like with Eden Zero, the planets have fluctuated in size so heavily that you can't just assume automatically that, like, any of these are Earth-sized. Something like Blue Garden is, like, way closer to I can see being the size of like, Earth. But something like Foresta or Granbell or anything that has more of, like, almost one function. Because, like, Granbell, the only thing on it is the one amusement park. Like, Foresta, as far as we know, there's only this one town, and then random kind of, like, little outposts of buildings and stuff. Nothing kind of too crazy. And then we've seen really small planets, kind of like the one that Amir was on, the one that it was, like, all kind of like candy and desserts. And then, like, Xiao Mei's, like, the planets have fluctuated in size, and you just can't assume right off the bat that it's Earth size. I mean, like, for example, like, Fiore is shown on the map, and Synod is one of the smallest countries in Ishgal, but it's actually huge by our numbers. It's like a lot of people thought I think it was only a couple hundred, like 200 to 300 kilometers wide, but it's actually over 6,500 if you go from east to west. Like, it's actually huge. That's massive for a tiny country. And then you see how big it is compared to the continent. Then you see that in, like, multiple continents in the world. Like, it's a really big place. With our current information, what do you think Mishima's forehand projects are? I just want a 100 Years Quest anime, man. That's the only thing I'm gonna ask for. Like, the Eden Zero anime is already looking good. I just want a 100 Years Quest anime, man. Let's see. Type of Xena did a different type. Defeat that level. Yeah, I think it's weird that it carried in DBZ when planets blow up since Vegeta blew up one finger. I think that's kind of some of the area where Dragon Ball got kind of weird. Just because, like, their jumps in power were so big, but then at the same time it stayed at that kind of planet level for a long time, so it was kind of hard to gauge some of the characters. Like, you didn't even see that many things above planet level until like mostly in the movies, but in the canon until Super, I think. I'm pretty sure the only thing that was like really big otherwise. Well, actually no, because Boo wasn't Boo. No, I'm thinking of something. I was gonna say Blue shot into the sun, but I was like, no, that's not how they killed him. It was a spirit bomb. But I'm like, that explosion, I think when he blew up Earth and then regenerated right before like they went into Otherworld to go fight him. That explosion, I think people have like put it like somewhere around star level or something. Like it was still really impressive. But I'm like, the gaps between where characters you'd think they'd be at, like when you get multiple tiers from the idea of Frieza to Kid Buu, is still really big. And it's just like there wasn't a whole lot to show it at the time. Sinbad, I don't know what your salt is. Fairy Tail's the GOAT, man. Will Dr. Mueller ever die? I hope so. I'm really looking forward to see Wise like use his Machina Maker to just disassemble that dude's body like a lot. Nobody likes him. He's one of those characters he's made to hate, and he's not like a badass guy that you hate. He's just like scummy. He's gross. He's weird. Even his robot design is ugly. Like, but that's how it's supposed to be. And I know everybody that I talked to about Eden Zero is really looking forward to seeing that dude, you know, dismantled. You only busted planets with fingers in the anime. I mean, yeah, but we saw that with Frieza, right? Like, even base Frieza was like no diffed planet Vegeta. Like, he just went, okay, poke pretty much with a little ki blast. And in his base form, too. I remember Selene talked to Insane. I want to see it. I want to see it so bad. Isn't Soul Cartel webtoon? I think it is. From what I understand, it is, at least. Rex, I said and knew that Selene was going to party. I mean, yeah, we knew that she was really fun. I didn't think it was going to be as lively. I figured it was going to end up being more of like a darker, more like vicious way that she was going to do it. But it made sense, obviously, now that we know more about her. You're playing couldn't do it, Roshi the power. I mean, again, Dragon Ball's power levels are so inconsistent at times. Because then it was like, oh, Piccolo just casually blew up the moon. But it's like, well, then how are other people like above Piccolo not just blowing up planets and stuff like casually? And then we didn't really get that until like way later with like Goku and Frieza level people. It's really weird with Dragon Ball. But I mean, I think it's just one of those things that Toriyama probably didn't really care that much about. Like, I don't think he really cared much about keeping power levels consistent. I mean, it shows, but at the same time, it doesn't matter a whole lot. But I mean, it still does to a degree. But I mean, Dragon Ball, it's so frequent in Dragon Ball that I don't think anyone really cares. The anime is so bright and beautiful. Yeah, it looks good. I'm really hyped about it. Yeah, PP only showed on episode 1 stuff. I think it showed a little bit more because we saw some scenes from chapter 2, and I assume chapter 1 is going to be episode 1. GC staff, baby. It's looking good, 100%. The rainbow glow and Shiki in the PVs. Oh, when he's like flying around. I'm curious to know what that'll look like, like used more, or if it's just in like maybe a demonstration scene. I've seen some. Okay, I don't want to talk too much about Dragon Ball stuff, but I mean, like I get it. I know what you guys mean. How much would you pay to see Haru bully Natsu using Rune Seal and bully? Haru cannot bully Natsu. You put Natsu versus Haru. Natsu is grabbing that sword, and he is going to take it from him. He's going to pull it out of his hand. Haru is strong, but the thing about Haru that like he doesn't have, like he's physically very powerful, obviously, and his swords have a lot of use. But like Natsu is just physically so much stronger. He's so much more of an experienced fighter. He has such a large array of experience, and on top of that, his passive heat like level is just ridiculous. He's got curse power on top of magic. Like, he is very dangerous. Haru unfortunately doesn't have as much hacks as Natsu has as well, or of what Shiki is being set up to. Like, the only real thing that he has, like, he's got the rune save, but rune save isn't going to be enough really to deal with Natsu. And then it's kind of like Shiki could try and do some motion sickness stuff to Natsu, but I mean, like, what's that really gonna do? Gravity Sword against Shiki? I mean, I don't really know about that. Like, Gravity Core is definitely one of... It's one of those swords that, like, Haru has that isn't really ever used a whole lot, because it doesn't have a ton of value. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's like, we saw, like, how much rune save, Silpharion, Explosion, Blue Crimson, Melforce. Like, the only one that was... I'd say underutilized as like more than Gravity Core was Sacrifice, but that was because of specific reasons. But Gravity Core really it would set up for a big heavy swing. I mean, it still had value, but it's not like I don't see it ever being really a threat to Shiki. Because the thing about it is it's got increased gravity around it. But I mean, like, Shiki can undo that. He can just make it lighter. Like, and I know, obviously, that, like, Haru is way more powerful than Shiki at the moment. But I'm thinking about, like, on a fundamental level. And it's not like Shiki isn't going to get way more powerful along the way. No, I want it to have really good animation, but I'm like, if 100 Years Quest got, if 100 Years Quest just gets to an animation level that, like, Eden Zero we saw in the PV, I'll be perfectly happy. Oh, Witch? Yeah, Witch is really good, too. Everyone likes Homura. People sit for Homura if they don't watch Eden Zero. Yeah, Homura's one of those people that people see her and then decide to give the series a try. We need to know who Merciphobia's actual minions were. I don't think he had any minions. The difference between him, though, is he didn't want to do any of that. He wanted just to keep to himself and try and do nice things. Oh, I don't know who Nicholas Drew is. Urza's most popular character Fairy Tail from the start to finish. No, Lucy overtook her in the popularity polls, and then Natsu took back first. And I think a poll from, like, last year or something. There's more Dragon Ball stuff. Hendrix, what's this? Not me. This part is also not me. Rebecca's not ass, dude. Rebecca's good. I mean, that's just not fair because Rebecca just isn't as good as Homura. Well, and the thing, like I said, the thing about Homura is Homura has just generally a lot more going on for her. And she's funny. I think that's one of the things, too. She's actually really funny just to see her do stuff. Because she's just got she's got that goofy personality when she just says stuff out loud and her wanting to challenge people. Her weakness to the heat. Prefer Lucy. I mean, yeah, preferring Lucy over Urza. I mean, that's just a common thing. Urza, it's usually Urza and Lucy who are like the most, the top place women for for Fairy Tail waifus. When you see 100 Quests ending, I don't really know, because the thing is right now that there's still a lot present that we could really go on. The fact Ferris wasn't the White Witch, like the White Wizard is still a character. In Rebellious in general, it is an arc for later, unless they're gonna pop up at some point. But I feel like if they were gonna pop up and do more stuff in an arc, like we would have to do something with Diablos. Like either Diablos would have to already be gone, or they would have to maybe become allies with the Fairy Tail Mercantile. Because I still don't think Diablos is evil. I think they're just kind of like they're their own angle, pretty much, is how I see it. None of them have really come off as, like, evil so far. Because any of the stuff they've done that's questionable, it's been towards people that are getting in their way as they're going after these dragons who are all really dangerous and have a history of being chaotic and destructive and, like, forces that could, equal out for an apocalypse. There's just people arguing about waifus right now. My favorite Fairy Tail girl is Juvia. I see a lot of people really like Juvia too. She's definitely up there. The thing about Juvia is she's very loyal. I'd put that as Juvia's best trait. Pulse Soul. So, this man's going to be OP. Oh, was he talking about Soul Cartel? Because I didn't see anything about... Like, the guy that was talking about Soul Cartel earlier, I didn't see him follow up because I don't really know anything about it. So I don't know how strong the characters are. Eden Zero is giving us everything that Fairy Tail is not regarding... I mean, oh no! What do you mean? The thing about this and them is they're different. Like, Ursa and Jalal were never meant to fight. They've been in a rocky relationship since the start. Whereas Urza and Jalal started out in a bad place where they, we knew their backstory, but they were kind of enemies to a degree, and then working that out to eventually be a thing. Whereas it was reverse for Elsie and Justice, where they started out kind of as a thing, and then it just, became enemies to the death thing. Obviously, Gray is going to fight Urza and Wendy. Wendy is the really curious one in this, because I want to know what Irene, like, what is she going to have to say about all this? Because I imagine Wendy should have a way to cancel it out, at least on her. Like, whatever the mental kind of control that Selene has on Lucy and them, I can easily see Wendy getting rid of that. Because we already know Wendy has spells that can completely zero out status effects and stuff. And with Irene there, assuming that even Wendy gets it in the first place, I imagine Irene could do something about it. Midoriya would be useful, because she could just take over her... I imagine she could figure out a way just to take over Wendy's body. And maybe do some stuff. Midoriya would be useful for strategy and war. Yeah, I really wish they would do more with his strategic aspect to his character. Gray gonna lose badly. He's not even. Stop. Or stop. They're wilding right now. Wendy is not stronger than Gray. Gray is one of the strongest people in the guild. Like Gray, I would place Gray at number 4. I would place Gray right below Natsu. Like I'd go guild. Like again, I've mentioned it before. Not counting Dragon Force, because I'd say not if you're walling Dragon Force Natsu, I'd place as the top of the guild. But not counting Dragon Force, because that's a very, very time limited mode. I'd say Guild Arts, Laxus, Natsu, Gray, Urza. I feel like the training arc is necessary. I don't think we need a training arc right now. The thing about doing a training arc is like we just got into the arc. And when we see Shura, I assume that, we're going to get some cool confrontation between Shiki and Shura. But if we do a training arc already, and then like Shiki struggles against these guys later, and it'll be like, well, then we're going to need another training arc. I would rather like some form of part where he gets does training and gets stronger. Will be a good chunk in the way, like somewhere around halfway into the arc. Maybe like he fights Shura, loses, and then has to go get stronger. Maybe he gets in a spot where he has to delve deeper in the ideas of Satan gravity and stuff, and then is able to come back and fight him properly. Yeah, people talking about it. I'm not gonna read any of the. I'm gonna skip some of these talking about like Gray being below Wendy. That's ridiculous. I've already mentioned this. Like, there's no way Gray's that low. I don't see Wendy fighting either Gray or Natsu. I see Irene should play a part in that if Wendy's under control. The only way that she wouldn't, I would assume, is if Selene somehow found out about Irene's personality in there and then like extracted it or just did something in general to block it. Again, it's really weird. Oxford also different abilities. Yeah, we know that. The bull one is weird. The bull one is really weird looking. Let's see. Who's stronger, Gray or Urza? I'd put Gray, 100%. SPD is top 5 Power Ranger series. Yeah, people really like SPD. SPD was a really weird one, but I did really enjoy it. Anubis Kruger was probably the coolest part about it, though. The Shadow Ranger, he was awesome. The thing actually thinking about it, though, SPD actually that bothers me is the Omega Ranger and the Nova Ranger. Actually, primarily the Nova Ranger. The Omega Ranger was just not used a lot, but the Nova Ranger just showed up in a scene. That was just such a weird part to have in the plot for the, the American version. She got Dragon Force and Rank, it helps, and she's still... I mean, yeah, Wendy's still strong, but there's no way that Wendy could beat Gray. I don't know what's up with, like, the Gray, like, downplay. Like, I know Gray hasn't got anything crazy lately, but Gray should still sit fairly well in power levels. Just just the base structure of like the series. We should know where Gray is. Like, we don't need to have Lucy do something crazy to know that she's still she's not going to be able to fight. Like, I don't think Lucy could take any of the other main cast in a 1v1. But she can still mop the floor with the majority of the guild. Lucy's still one of the top people in the total guild. Like, Lucy's not going to lose to, like, Nab or Warren or Max or anything. Just because she isn't primarily, like, a combat person. She can fight, but she just isn't... She isn't focused... Like, her magic and her style isn't solely focused on combat. It's her variety of her abilities, her magic quantity, and how intelligent she is. They didn't butcher Megaforce. Megaforce is a couple parts that I did enjoy. I like some of the comedic episodes just because they did a couple parts that were kind of like doing self-aware, like what we saw in RPM. I really liked in RPM when they're like, oh my god, how am I forgetting his name? I think it was it Ziggy? Was it? I think it was the Green Ranger, something like that. I think it was actually something very similar. I can't remember again the name off the top of my head. But he would like comment on like the scenes. They would like see a recap of them morphing, and he'd be like, "Why was there a giant explosion behind me? Shouldn't we be concerned?" I remember that being pretty funny. Urza is close to Laxus, but I mean like that was with Urza having two sets of like two swords that were prepped beforehand primarily, and one of them was from Gray. The only thing that makes it so like Gray is is kind of underplayed, I'd say, is the fact that we haven't seen any new form for Gray. That I could easily see someone arguing again Urza being above Gray, but I personally think Gray is above Urza. We just haven't really seen enough of current Gray to get really, again, to get right, kind of like get a position to make that. It's more of like having a character again that you know like came out of a power, like a trainer, kind of like the captains in Black Clover. We're only now seeing some of the captains and how strong they got, but we knew even before that they should still be very powerful captains. They should still sit above a lot of the characters, and even though we hadn't seen it yet, we knew that they were. It's just a waiting game at that point. Nibiru is the weakest of the Dragon Slayers, and when you can't. I mean, Nibiru, though, like, the weakest of the Dragon Eaters is still really powerful. That's still really powerful. Like, none of them should be below Spriggan level. None of them. Absolutely none of them. Not even Nibiru should be below Spriggan level. Could he be lower Spriggan? Sure, but there's no way he's below Spriggan. Weakest Dragon Eater, not Dragon Slayer mode. Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, it makes sense. Yeah, a lot of people hated Megaforce. The thing about Megaforce that hurt it is it was an anniversary season, and it was a bad anniversary season. But they could have made, not the whole thing, not the entirety of it was bad. Some of it for the most part was still enjoyable. I'd say the thing that I would place it as like a bad season is the fact they screwed up in the Super Mega Battle. Like you had this big giant event of all these Rangers coming back, and I understand they couldn't get every single actor, but it was just it should have been way longer than 2 episodes. And I don't even think actually it was 2 episodes. I think it was 1. I don't remember off the top of my head. And they were foreshadowing it for a while beforehand. Like, you literally could have just had, for the most part, the ones that they brought, and then had the rest of the people be kind of people in suits, maybe had some either voice clips from either episodes, or just called up some of the actors and like, hey, we'll pay you to read some of these lines and record them, and then, just put them over the guys in the suits. And then it's had a couple episodes of fights. I mean, like, thinking back, oh my god, what is it? Forever Red was a better anniversary episode. And it was short, like, it was only the Red Rangers, but it was so much more entertaining, and it was just such a much more fun scene to do. My favorite, though, would probably be To the 10th Power. That was probably my favorite kind of crossover episode special for Power Rangers. I remember that was so much fun. That was an Earth, not Elantir. I mean, Elantir is a different scenario. I mean, we don't know what the difference entirely between being an Earthline and being an Elantir is. We just know it's there. Again, that's the same thing. We don't know what exactly the Elantir boost is. We've only seen a little bit. We've seen from Lucy. We don't even know what else Lucy's capable of now. But we know that they have a boost in the waiting. It's just again a waiting game to see what it is. Mystic Force and Dino Thunder are goated. Mystic Force I definitely would put a little, in a pretty good place. Dino Thunder though, I really like Dino Thunder. My favorite part of Mystic Force, man, I really liked the Red Fire Dragon Ranger. That was awesome. Let's see. I've met some of them. I went to Power Morphicon a couple years ago. I've met a lot of the Rangers, but I don't think I really talked to any of them. I don't think I went out to get an autograph or anything from. I don't think any of the Mystic Force people. I liked Mystic Force, but I don't think there's any characters in there that I was super hyped on. I like the Red Fire Dragon Ranger, but I'm that was more just on the design. If I had to pick a character I always really liked was the Magna Defender from Lost Galaxy. I met the guy who played him. That's one of the coolest characters. Even today, that character, even in a show that was primarily for the kids. Granted, that was still in the area where you can do darker stuff in kid shows. But, there was some good killing in there. But, that character is just badass. Design-wise, too, he looks awesome. I think Wendy won't be turned into yokai. I mean, yeah, again, the Selene, or the Irene stuff, I mean, you're right on what I was talking about earlier. Wendy isn't the only one who, would get an Elantir boost. Yeah, they all should. Wendy's probably going to snap when it can, a lot of people talk about what I already talked about. It's still good. Or, just people talking about Wendy and Gray. I subscribed recently. There's Discord for this channel. I haven't got one yet. I'm still thinking about it. The thing is that I'm contemplating Eden Zabi. Is it Eden Zabi or Eden Sabi? I don't know. I'm trying to say it in separate, but your name actually flows really well together. Eden Sabi. It feels like one word. I'm actually not gonna lie. But I kind of want to make a Discord. But the thing about the Discord servers, at least from the experience I've had, not all of them, for content creators, there's a lot of drama that comes of it, and I kind of want to avoid that. so far right now, it's mostly like I join other content creators' discords, and then I kind of just pop up in there and cause, sometimes I cause a little havoc. But I don't know, I'm on the fence about it. It's still kind of there. I'm not too sure, but it's a problem that I've seen occur a lot, and I want to avoid it. But again, like I know people like being in Discord servers for people like like people that are subscribed to in videos or content creators. It's on my back burner. I haven't written off the idea, but at the same time, I'm unsure exactly if I want to or not. I mean, don't talk about Scoleon. The thing though about Hendrickson about Scoleon got Gray with a really good hacks that he had no real way to defend against. I mean, you could say that against someone like Marg Gear could kill a Spriggan. Any of the Spriggan should be above him in stats. Like, the only thing that I would even say like different is like when you look at Nineheart, having lower durability than them is fine. Just because his magic, he's a classic summoner. He's way more in the normal style of summoning, so him not having high durability makes sense. But you catch, like, even August. Like, if somehow August stood there and let him get momentum more off, it could kill him. Just because that's a really good hacks. Really good hacks. Granted, he's in a realistic scenario, like, Margear isn't catching August in any degree. But in the hypothetical scenario that August stands there, like, he could get erased. Not Mueller made robots start killing humans. Yeah, everyone wants him dead. Gray was getting touched by Hakune. Oh, no! First off, I just want to say, when you're talking about Scoleon, it's one thing. Hakune's hacks is busted. One, it's a brand new power system that they didn't have they had no pre-knowledge against. And it prevents them from being able to use magic, curses, and spiritual arts. It even works on the same technique that she uses. So it's not like, oh, if you learn spiritual arts, you have a way to counter. It's like, nope. I don't imagine it's one of those things that like you can fight back against unless you're just so much more powerful than her that you just would overwhelm her diamond effect ability. Scoleon is definitely the strongest out of the main trio for the Dragon Eaters, and I'd definitely say he's stronger than Nibiru and Scoleon or Wraith. He obviously isn't stronger, at least from what we've seen, than Suzaku and the Black Dragon Knight Slayer, Black Dragon Slayer Knights. But yeah, actually, I need to look. I actually gotta look up my volume later because I'm wondering. Actually, let me see real quick. I'm gonna get up really quick. I'm gonna keep my headphones on and keep talking. But I'm going to grab volume 6 because the one thing I actually don't think I looked at is the canon translation. I guess the official translations for what they're called. Because originally it was the Black Dragon Slayer Cavalry. And then a different translation called it the Black Dragon Slayer Knights. So I'm wondering what he said. I'm scrolling by trying to find what Scoleon was saying. What chapter is this? Okay, it's in the very beginning. I'm just trying to look. It's right after Scoleon starts to kind of go crazy. It actually is, I think it's right after he's defeated the panel I'm looking for. Just because it's such one of those. It's one that I haven't looked back on that much because I was like, I'm just gonna wait for the official translation because I kept jumping back and forth and I was actually getting annoyed with myself that I didn't have I didn't have a for sure one that I was sticking to. Like, I know some people say like Tenryou Island or Tenryojima. I've always said Sirius Island since the translations, like since I knew the translations. It makes more sense to me, but at the same time, I can understand why other people would pick it. But I'm trying to find the exact page. Let's see. Because I just realized, like, I've had the volume for a while, but I was like, I actually haven't looked. I don't even think I looked at the digitals. Where's Scoleon in here? Where Scoleon was like right. I know the page in my head, like when he said it, but I'm not 100% sure on where it was in the fight off the top of my head. All right, I should have looked back on it. It's one of those weird things. Like I can't believe I haven't looked. Where is Scoleon though? Oh, Black Dragon Slayer Knights. Okay, so I've been right. Well, I've been right. I've been using the right one. I didn't call it and trying to correct anybody. So I did. fix myself because I didn't want to make it seem like I've been saying it all along. It was this one. Like, no, I kind of just went with the more one that I thought fit better in naming. But yeah, Queen with Neg. I mean, yeah, she would definitely beat Wendy. Like the thing about Hokune is like we don't know how you counter her ability. We know that it's obviously not infinite. Otherwise, then she would beat Selene and everybody. But it has some form of limitation we don't know yet. I would guess that it's just, if they're so much more powerful than you, then she can, it's not going to affect properly. Let's find out Hardner from from the Blue Guardians remaster. Oh, I really like Hardner. I always thought he was a really cool antagonist. The one that I would say I liked most from remaster is Doryu. And I know for the most part, he's, like, his whole motivations and, like, a lot of his dialogue, is very... It's very villain basic, but his backstory is really good. But I like the way that he does, like, he just talks to, darkness and destroying light and all those things. That part, it gives him a very just kind of classical villain feel, but it's done in a really good way. And then his design, his spells are really cool. I always really liked him, and I think he's got the best fight in Rave Master, to be perfectly honest. I love that fight. I mean, that's like... Rave Master has like a lot of good fights, but I'd say that's the best one, in my opinion. And it's like they're Hades, but not like if Hades was if Hades never got topped, I guess, really. And I don't mean that negative way. I just always assume believe that Doryu was a lot like his was the most hype. It was such a large effort. Like that's one of Haru's coolest moments too. But yeah, I always really liked Haru. I think he's really cool, but Doryu was badass. Ray's gonna go against Urza, not Juvia. Oh no, he has to go against Juvia. Like it's very obvious that they're gonna each go against their the girl they're shipped with, but also whoever their other person is the bigger question. Wendy's is the one that I'm super curious about again, and we already talked about it. So Hokune versus Xenon, I just saw that Hokune body Xenon. Scale's way higher, she's more hacks, and I mean, what does Xenon do? It's like, oh well, he tries to use his devil stuff. Okay, she just says no, you're not using it. Uses diamond effect. I just saw Guillotine on. I have my Streamlabs one, kind of like caught up, and then I've got a tab open for the actual the on YouTube stream where I'm scrolling down. Scoleon is way above me. Yeah, 100%. He's 100% above him. Like, Scoleon is clearly, the lead guy of the main trio. And Scoleon, Madmal, and Kira are obviously the most... They're the main ones we're going to see for the Dragon Eaters until they're gone. And who knows exactly how long that'll be. Who knows exactly how that'll go. The only one that I could see, getting... I can't even say, being, killed off is... I was going to say Kyria, but at the same time, I'm I ship Kyria and Laxus, so that's the one I actually like, because Laxus has a couple of characters he gets shipped with, but theirs is the one that makes sense, and from a character standpoint, it makes sense when you think about why she likes him and Laxus' character. But at the same time, she also has outright said that she had fallen in love with him, and I think even though she's kind of tried to brush that off last time we saw her, I think it's kind of obvious that she has affections for him. The other ones I know Kana, Mira Jane, Lisana. I mean those are ones that I could see happening sort of just because they're adjacent and I feel like they could work, but at the same time it's we don't have anything to go off. Yoko versus Rill. What does Rill do? I mean again Yoko sits so much far above him in the first place. Guillotine, I keep in the corner of my eye seeing your comments of these fights and they're so unfair. Stop there. What are you talking about, man? Nebel is absolutely not stronger than Scoleon. The thing about Scoleon is Scoleon has shown that he, out of the ones we've seen, out of Scoleon, Madmal, Kyria, Nebel, and Wraith, Scoleon has shown he's had the best demonstrations of strength. He's shown us that most hacks. He's clearly been the lead guy between the main trio. He's always the one in the center. He's always the one calling the shots. The fact he can just kind of piss off Kyria and Kyria's not doing anything tells me that Kyria's not in charge. Madmal absolutely isn't in charge. He doesn't seem like the dude to be in charge. It's definitely Scoleon. I mean, I don't know. Kyoka versus Vanica. Actually, that one's a little closer. I just want to... Would Vonica have a way around having her senses taken out? That one's a weird one. Actually, I need to think about that one a little bit. Because, like, that one... It's like, Kyoka doesn't really have a way to put down Vonica. Well, I guess you could just straight cut her head off. I'm trying to think. I'd probably give it to Kyoka just because Kyoka can hacks her down, I think, way earlier. I think that one's definitely a close one. But I think I would give it to Kyoka. Because, like, if you lose your senses, you're kind of screwed. There's only, like, Urza's thing was way more of a personal feat, and I mean, at the same time, she still didn't stop Face. Like, ultimately, she failed and didn't beat her. But, yeah, that's actually probably one of the more closer ones I've seen recently. Kana versus Vanessa and Drinkoff. Oh, Kana destroys her. Vanessa is like a good drinker in real life. Kana is like a fictional drinker. Like, she's chugging barrels like they're glasses. Like, she's crazy. And it's not even like, it's not like glasses like, oh, I've had three cups of, whatever drink. It's like, she's drinking that like it's water. You're talking about Lord Hendrickson. LC wants to stop Ziggy. I'm curious to know, though, in general, like, what she knows about Ziggy. Gray versus Urza. I still would give it to Gray. I personally think Gray is stronger. But again, like I said, Gray hasn't done anything yet for like an upgraded level of his strength. But it's definitely something we're gonna see. It's kind of like when we're talking about Rill. Like, Rill gets kind of slandered, but it's like Rill is just so early in comparison to like the other captains, and we haven't seen his big kind of growth in the 6 months. Like, he hasn't had like a real spotlight chapter. I think with Gray, when Gray gets his soon, I mean, like, it's gonna be so nice to see people stop slandering him, because it's the same thing. Like, Yuno was like almost all of 2020. Yuno was getting roasted because of, getting defeated by Xenon, and then when we saw Boreas, people shut up about it. That's how I see it's gonna happen with Gray, though. So I just gotta wait. Yeah, Jason's just talking to him about this. Like, it's ridiculous that the idea, like, Scoleon is absolutely not above Nibiru. Like, that's not even remotely within range. Absolutely not. Or is it? Yeah, it's like she had a gray sword. The thing is about, like, Urza, she's strong, but she's definitely to a degree a prep based character, because certain stuff like that with her swords and armor she has to have beforehand. It's not like Gray, who already has his magic and he can just kind of create things. Like, he can shape his ice as he's going. But I mean, yeah, I just saw that. I keep seeing Guillotine's comments in the corner of my eye. Vonica can beat Kyoka. They can definitely both. The thing is, they can both beat each other. Like, it's not one-sided at all. Neither of them winning would be one-sided. But I would probably lean more towards Kyoka, just because, like, Kyoka's taking out Vonica's senses would be such like it'd be such a screw-over move. Like, you can still fight. Like, generally, like, if she could just AoE pulse her magic, like, just send her red beast to just kind of slash everywhere and destroy everything. But I mean, like, you'd be just doing slash attacks against somebody who primarily does slash attacks. But at that point, like, I can still kind of see Kyoka putting her down. And the thing about Kyoka that is really overlooked is her ability to empower herself. She gets stronger as she fights. And she says that there's no limit. Like, obviously, I mean, she could technically have no limit. Quotation marks in there. But I mean, like, we definitely see it. It wasn't as, like, the rate of it wasn't like, she gains 10% every time. It'd probably just be like she gets slightly stronger, slightly faster as she goes. Kind of like Jack. Like, that's the thing about Jack, too. Like, Jack's severing magic, as he's fighting, he's getting faster by how it works. But it's not like, after, a few moves, he's faster than everybody else. We saw that Kyoka getting more powerful, but it wasn't like Kyoka just suddenly jumped tiers whenever she, said this. Gray needed his father's power? I mean, what do you mean? Like, he gave it to him in Tartaros. But it's his magic that goes into it. He gave him the magic itself, like fundamentally the structure of devil slaying. But that at that point, you might as well count like any time Urza buys the sword or buys sword or armor at the store. Let's see. Volume 8 for Ruby has been really strong lately. I'll try it at some point, man. Ruby's just been so... It's been so off for me. And I'm still really... I'm still not happy about some of the stuff they're doing. I'm worried, like, if I get back to it and I see if they do, in fact, do the whole... Do the ship with Blake and Yang, and it's like, well, what was the point of Sun's character? They built up for 4.5 seasons of this relationship just to sideline him to do a fan shipping because... The Ruby fandom is obsessed with, like, lesbian ships. It'll bother the hell out of me. Because it would be like randomly stopping Gray from being with Juvia and then just giving him a different girl. Or Juvia suddenly is like, well, I'm going to go hook up with Kana or something. It's like, why? It's frustrating. I just see people talking about Gray. I'm scrolling down, skipping some of these... Just because I know this. Okay, here's Lovely Leech says, hey, finally made it. A few minutes late, though. Want a 100 Quest TV anime. I hope so, too. I really want to get one. From what I understand, there's rumors that we could get some form of announcement in February. And I actually think it does hold a little bit of weight because this year is the 15th anniversary of Fairy Tail, so we might get something. Might get something. It could be an anime. Otherwise, the only other thing that I could really get hyped about in general, like, you know, there's like movies and stuff, or another game, like but that for the most part, I'd be like, oh, cool, this, you know, some more content. The other thing that besides an 100 Years Quest anime I'd be really for is if we could get more waves of spin-offs. I still want more, like when we had Ice Trail, Twin Dragons of Sabretooth, Road Knight, Gods of Thunder, or is it Gods of Lightning? I can't remember exactly for Laxus's. I remember Laxus's spinoff from the fan translation before the official it was like Flash of Great Lightning, and some of those ones, like, it takes a while to get those out of my brain when I've got them almost kind of like seared in there. But other than that, like, I would love to have more. I'd love to have more waves of spinoffs, and then. It would just depend on who it is. I would love to have a Xerath spinoff or an Echnologia spinoff, a Gildart spinoff. There's so many characters that it would be so much fun just to see focused on them for like a volume. 1 second. One of my friends was messaging me. I had to get it back. Anyway, who's the weakest Fairy Tail character that can deal with Gojo's domain expansion? Who would be like a good counter? In general, I mean, like, it's still curse based, so like anybody who can straight deal with, probably Silver actually, because we know that Devil Slaying does counteract curse based abilities in general. Like, that is factual. Like, it does counteract curses, so probably Silver, I guess. Because obviously, like, I have to think, because there might be some people that just have, like, a general, like, some mental ability that might be able to counter it. But Silver, I'd say, like, off the top of my head, I'd go for him, because he's also powerful enough to, you know, if he could flash freeze Gojo, if he could land it. Because his Infinity is also based off curse power, so if Silver could neutralize it and then just flash freeze him. Oh, stop it, Jace. Definitely not Bora. I break that we'll announce. I would really like a 100 Years Quest anime. Like, for real. Like, even if we got it and we didn't get... I guess regardless if we got it or with a trailer or not. I would just want to know what studio's doing it. That, for me, would be, like, the biggest thing that I would want to see. I see some more comments. I'm scrolling down because I lost my spot. But, I remember where it was. Or I remember what I was reading, essentially. Oh, that's good. You know, I see a ton of comments by Lovely Leech. Like, I saw her comment. Well, I assume female. I guess it could be not be. I was just looking at the avatar. Regardless, I saw this nice individual's comment, and I was like, oh, man. It's one of those times where, because I know that I'm so far behind, and I was just like, well, I hope this person's here to hear me respond to them, and it's not like, oh, they popped in, I'm so far behind, they didn't see, like, they don't know how far behind I am, but I'll get to it eventually, and then they leave before I, answer it. That always makes me bummed out, because it's like, I wish I got to him beforehand. But let me see. I do not think that Vierness is dead. I really don't want that. Like, it'd be a really interesting twist of what Mishima would have planned for it, but I want to see Vierness. I think Vierness is very fascinating. Just from the fact that Mercephobia didn't know anything about him. Like, he never met him. He only knows that he's a gold dragon, and that's it. Jeez, I'm so much further behind than I thought I was. I'm gonna have to skim down. I apologize to anybody whose comments that I might skip over. Like, if you had a specific comment that I missed, because when I scrolled back up, there's some comments that definitely got pushed out of, like, the scroll bar that are so far back, I probably can't see them unless, like, I would have to probably go through, like, the video later and then have it at the same spot that the comment was dropped to see it. I mean, like, if you had something super specific when I get caught up, then if I didn't answer it and you really wanted to hear me answer it, just ask again. When you're off the island, it doesn't count. Yeah, it's only, are you talking about, like, on Sirius Island? Because the island itself, like, is, wait, I think the animation for the last season sucked. I've heard, so what I've noticed, I think that it looks better in the Blu-ray, because there's definitely stuff that I remember not looking as good, and then I saw, like, the Blu-ray version, and I think they touched up on a lot of stuff. I don't know, though, about the last season. There's definitely parts that didn't look too good animated, and that was very unfortunate. So, if we can get a good 100 Years Quest anime, I'll be really happy. Power scaling went out the door last season? No, it didn't. It was fine. It just jumped up considerably. But it did that almost every arc. Almost every arc, it just jumped up a lot. But like the Outres was just a massive chunk. But that's because we were starting to deal with actual big people. Now it's punching the shit out of Mueller. Oh, I'd be fine with any main character or relatively anybody just destroy him. I'll take villains to destroy him. I'll take another villain in Eden Zero to destroy him. Like you can have we could get. It would be like just like some random villain. I mean, you could have Kurenai do it, and I'd be okay with it. I hated Kurenai, but she was awful at a very specific kind of couple of characters, whereas Mueller just seems awful to everybody that he ever, like, his presence ever gets close to. Like, but it's not like a cool version like Zareth when he was, being like a super dark wizard killing people around him with his curse. It was just like Mueller's just a piece of shit. Let's see. Sacrifice wasn't underutilized. It shouldn't have been utilized at all. It shouldn't have been used by Haru. We know that it's not built for Haru. Like, it doesn't work with, like, who Haru is. Because Shiba could utilize it properly based off of, like, how Shiba's personality was. But it still was only used once. That's what I'm saying. But at the same time, it's like, well, then why didn't they figure out a way to get rid of it and then get Haru a different sword? Because it's still there. That's the weird thing about Sacrifice. Is Sacrifice was still part of the 10 Commandments. It's still in the sword. Like in Heroes, it's still there. But Haru is probably never going to use it. And it's not one of those... It's one of those things that if Wraith Master was still going, or like if Wraith Master was... If Wraith Master was going now, like say like it was a currently running manga, and we just got the part with Sacrifice, I'd be like, oh, well, that's something that we'll see later, but it's probably going to be Haru's like last resort move. Like, I'm only going to use this if I have to because I hate using it, obviously how it works. But we never saw him use it again. Can't Lizana Mirjane heal Lucy and other chicks by absorbing that? Lizana maybe? I don't think Mirjane can, but because hers is Satan Soul and Lizana is Animal Soul. But we've seen some of the animals that she's done and they're yokai, so maybe with Lizana. Current Shiki was Haru when he fought Doryu. I'd still give it to Haru. I'd definitely give it to Haru. One of the things very, very strongly about Shiki is Shiki doesn't have a lot of combat experience. And Shiki can get tripped up very easily. Like when we saw Orc, like Orc got Shiki in a bad spot, and then Shiki went overdrive and destroyed him. But like, if you put him against somebody that wasn't fodder like that, and he got him down that long to use some dangerous attack, like they could have killed him. The Gold Dragon, yeah, I already read this one. Yeah, everyone likes Hamura Leech. Like Hamura is just such a likable character in general. But again, I think the biggest aspect about her is that she's actually really funny on top of it. Like, she's badass, she's got a really good story, she's cute, her design is good. I really like I don't know what they're called, but you know, in her design, like her outfit, those weird sleeves that she has, those really big sleeves. I really like those, and because even at times, like, it's cut off, and it's like some weird, almost extra accessory to her clothing. But the fact that she's actually very funny, too, I think is a really good quality thing for her. Story-wise, Eden Zero is already... I don't think so at all. I don't think so. That's just my opinion there, Guild. I mean, Xerath's story alone is so amazingly done. I don't agree with Eden Zero's surpassing Fairy Tail. Like, you have to remember, stuff like Xerath was mentioned in Chapter 12. We didn't see him until Chapter 200. And he was a complete 180 from what we expected him to be. Everyone thought Xerath would be like some ancient evil wizard, some dark old man, kind of like what we got with Hades. But, I mean, he was just some tortured dude who just didn't want to be involved in any of these conflicts. He didn't want to hurt people, and he didn't want to cause more strife. I have no idea this stream was in my recommended, but I'm gravely disappointed, depressed, and disheartened that it was, because I don't like fairy tale things that I don't like. No, why would you say that, Anton? That's a cruel thing to say. I don't know why you'd say that. I mean, I don't know. If you don't like my stream, you don't have to show up, obviously. You don't know. You bummed me out by saying this. I was like, oh, excited to see this nice, like, couple sentences, and it hit negatively. Could be a possibility. Yeah, I hope so. I need to see, I definitely need to see some more, but... you can... I don't want to go up against power level stuff, Plasma Gun. Mora's heat weakness places a lot of naughty thoughts in the brain. I don't need to think too much about that. This isn't a loot hour stream. Definitely, that's an after dark stuff. That's like a couple hours on Twitter when the timeline starts falling asleep. Who's your favorite female in anime? Let me think. I'd probably pick Lucy. I really like Lucy. I do genuinely really like her. And on top of like her personality, her backstory and everything, her design, I like that she is the biggest thing about Lucy that I always mention, and it's true when you think about it, is she's still relevant. She's still keeping up with the main cast, and I know that, like, from the idea of, like, you have all these other aspects about her, like her backstory, her own character progression and everything in development, her intelligence, her own, like, more centered character stuff, like obviously her career as like an author and everything. That's another thing, but like the thing about that Lucy that I'm very happy about is she isn't one of those like female leads that kind of starts to really fall behind. Like, she's obviously not as powerful. Like, I would say she's the weakest member of the main cast, but her biggest thing isn't her power level, it's her, like, how smart she is. And I'm very happy that she hasn't fallen behind and just kind of become a cardboard cutout that tags along for the adventure. Mashima's done a really great job at keeping Lucy, keeping Lucy relevant and keeping her, again, not just being there. Yeah, Hermit and Wise are definitely have a very interesting setup. I thought, like, Mishima was going to do Wise and Homura, but it looks like he's going to build that ship instead. Lucy versus Noelle. Noelle, see, if you put Lucy and Noelle on the same, if they were fighting at the same level, I'd give it to Noelle just because, like, Lucy isn't primarily a fighter. But Lucy is just she scales so much higher than Noelle, especially right now. She can, even though she can't summon Aquarius, she still has her Aquarius, she can do her Aquarius Star Dress, and I mean, like, at that point, she can manipulate water, so good luck. I just don't think Alderaan is dead. He's an odd one for me as well. Like, I'm fine with Alderaan being dead, but at the same time, I'm fine with him being alive. I'm not, like, I'm on a weird fence spot with Alderaan specifically. Actually, I'm kind of like that with Acnologia, if Mishima can think of a way to bring Acnologia back, but at the same time, I'm fine if he doesn't. Just because I want to see him again, but I actually would be fine just seeing him through flashbacks. How did I feel about the new color page for Black Clover? I mean, obviously I liked it. I mean, Vanica's looking crazy on there. I was super happy about that. You can get Shiki to... Oh, wait. Shiki isn't solar system level, and he's not fast and light. What are you talking about, Plasma? That one is more confusing to me than anything. Urza and Jalal did fight, though. I mean, their fight was just kind of like a brief scuffle. Like, they didn't have, like, a full... Like, the fight we got from Justice and Elsie is way more of a fight than we got for Urza and Jalal. But Urza and Jalal were never supposed to be that kind of fight. Because we know that Urza would never try and kill Jalal. Like, even when Jalal was a bad guy, she couldn't kill him. Because her feelings wouldn't let her, because she still loved him. I mean, it's not like... It's completely different than what happened with Justice and Elsie. But again, it's the opposite. It's the opposite structure. I liked her on 6, but didn't like how Unreal. Oh, yeah, he got screwed. Julius got at least to be in more of the arcs. Burial just got, like, he was there at the one point in Symphonia, and then got no-diffed after, like, when Aura went to go bury Sheba. That was... Poor Burial. I was a little bit salty about this, because I wanted to see what that weird bug power he had going on was. That's a good point. So when he could help dispelling Lucy from the... Yeah, I think because she has separation enchantment. She should be able to separate whatever power plant. Have I heard the song Hotel California? I have. Natsu and Gray are pretty close. Are pretty close. Natsu is definitely stronger than Gray, but like Natsu, I wouldn't say is beyond Gray by miles. Like Natsu with Dragon Force, I'd say definitely could demolish Gray, but that's with Dragon Force. If you put Gray all out against like Fire Dragon King Natsu, like Fire Dragon King Natsu, I could easily see Gray putting up like a really solid fight. And can Yuka Suzuki's Hado magic negate dragons? No, absolutely not. He's way too weak. Are you talking about his wave? No, like he's so much fodder. His just kind of like, I imagine it would make sense just in the fundamental idea of it. It's the same way that Asta's anti-magic works in just like the negation of magic, because it should be a 1-for-1. Like say like his magic, like say that the wave had a potency level of 10, then obviously it can cancel up to potency levels of 10. But if like a dragon, you got a potency level of 1,000,000, throwing a 10 at that and isn't doing shit. But yeah, we're not going to training arc. Shiki possibly beat the top dogs for Foresta. I mean, that's the thing though, is he should leave this arc. They should leave Foresta knowing that Shiki has to get more powerful. All of them should know they have to get more powerful. And I don't want it to be a training arc. I would be fine with just them. Like, if a Xenolith gave Shiki some words of wisdom, and then they left, and then, like, you had stuff on the ship, and you had, like, maybe a scene where each character was thinking about what happened, and then were working in their ways to advance from that, I think that would be the best way to do it. Because the thing about the Eden Zero crew that's very different from, say, the Fairy Tail main cast is early on, like even at the very start of the series, outside of Lucy, the main cast were all very experienced with their magic. Like Urza, Natsu, and Gray had all been using their magic for years, whereas Lucy was for the most part fairly new. And like we know Rebecca's very new. We know clearly Shiki doesn't know a lot about his ether gear. Wise is still like in a place where he knows how to use it. But I think when he says that he uses it by feel, it's just like he's using it at such an underutilized level and not doing it properly. But also we know his is the most, I'd say, his is kind of like Lucy, where you have to be smart enough to know how to combine and utilize your abilities. And Wise, we know this version of Wise isn't as intelligent, and it's something I think he needs to get. That will be a big thing for him to work on. Like when he starts getting smarter and upgrading the Arsenal suit, I think is his obvious thing. Like with the Arsenal suit, if he could just figure out a way to lower the energy cost so he can stay in it longer, I mean that's already would be a really big upgrade for him. Like even if he gained like a 50% more time being able to be in his Arsenal suit, that alone is a big upgrade for Wise. When it comes to Urza, it's really hard to place her when it comes to power levels. I think Urza is pretty solid, like I said, in the top 5. I would put her at number 5 in the guild. But I could easily see, again, somebody arguing her above Gray just because we haven't seen Gray do, like, a new big feat since the arc started. Or, I guess, since 100 Years Quest started. Like, Gray's has been way more character-driven rather than power-level-driven. So why do people want Lucy to leave her Lamia form? I don't want her to stay in it. I mean, she's physically stronger in this, but I mean, she's not going to stay in it. Let's see. Let me get some more of these comments. That's not me. Tabata being mid in 2020. No way. Is this the first chapter? No, we got the Charlotte chapter at the very start of the year. I thought the Jack stuff was good. Definitely my favorite part of the chapter. It was just Jack's backstory. Just seeing a little bit about Jack. because he's been in this series since chapter 1, and we haven't really seen anything about him. And I think the form made more. Well, people were actually no. I gotta say form. Josuke made a really good point. It's like, well, then is Noelle's Valkyrie dress not a form? But Jack's form makes sense because Jack's base ability is already really good. So I didn't think he needed some extra ability. I always just believe that he needed to like his upgrade would just be new ways to utilize it, and I liked what he did. This creepy and funny thing about Ziggy, he's one of those characters who always smiles. I really want to know about like who made Ziggy. Where did he come from? You didn't like the Jack chapter, Ner? I liked it. I thought it was good. The only part of the chapter I was just kind of like trying to figure out was Nox's form, but I was talking to the guys, like they made a good point, like those were the fan translations, and it's been shown very many times that official translations are way more clear. So Nox's form will probably look a lot better in the officials tomorrow. I legitimately believe that. Again, it makes sense, and it's happened before with a lot of the darker looking panels. They look way better in the officials. And the captains managed to save Yami and William, then what? I mean, if they can get him out, do you mean if they can get out of there, or do you mean in the next arc? Which Eden Zero chapter do you think will trend worldwide once it gets an anime? Let me think. I mean, the obvious ones when they fight like Drac and Joe and stuff, but I mean, like off the top of my head, like probably I feel like the Chronophage chapter, or I guess the Chronophage maybe on Gilst will probably be super hype. But I mean, like early Eden Zero is not as hype, and I don't mean the negative way. Like Hiro Mishima definitely takes his time getting things started, but I mean, like once he gets started, like stuff is going at a fast pace. The first part, I personally think in Eden Zero was like a really big hype was when Shiki demolished Kurenai's mech. That's one of those parts that once it gets animated, I think it'll be super hype. Because like if you go back, if you just read if you read Fairy Tail up before Phantom Lord, or Rave Master before the Tower of Din, or Eden Zero before the stuff on Sanjul, it's like, this is, you know, there's obviously, like, if you personally like the characters, like, you know, I obviously really like the Fairy Tail main cats and stuff, but I'm like, outside of personal things that you can really like, the parts of the story, you know, they move at a lot slower pace. They aren't as crazy in some of the arcs and the content, but it's solid. You know, it's always like a good solid area. Like you're never kind of like getting those pointless parts or stuff that's just boring. It's like the Sanjul. Sanjul I think was the first really good arc for Eden Zero, and I can see that. Like that's where I can easily see season 1 ending for the anime, and it would make sense for them to rush pretty quickly up in that. Like the first season of Fairy Tail, was it 48 episodes and goes all the way through the Fighting Festival, which is 100 and about 130 chapters. So they went through that fast, but after that they didn't go nearly as quick as that anymore. Keep in mind, you go through 100 and something chapters in the first year. Like that was ridiculous. That was super fast. So something like that I could see happening with Eden Zero, at least in the first portion, because the first season, obviously, you want to get people hooked. You want to get people hyped, and I feel like you have to do the Sun Jewel in order to have that big hype at the end of the first season. Tartarus Aquarius versus Mermaid Noelle? I mean, what is Aquarius really going to do to Noelle? Like, Aquarius just has, like, she can just throw water. I guess she could probably control the water on Noelle if she can, like, pull all the water off her body. These are like, I thought you were gonna say like Lucy or something. It's just like Aquarius specifically. I already know that. Now people are arguing. See, Sinbad, you have an enemy in the chat now. You got an enemy in the chat. He's after you. Wendy's more supportive character without Dragon Force. Wendy is still strong, but Wendy's obviously way better as a support than as a fighter. She's still very capable as a fighter, but you know, if Wendy is kind of like Lucy in that regard, like she can fight, and obviously Wendy's level of combat abilities is much higher than Lucy's, but that's not their that's not the biggest trait they bring to the team. Like, Wendy is a good fighter, but Wendy as a support is amazing. Healing, she's got buff, cancel status effects. She can, give people extra abilities, like when she did with, let me enchant your swords. Oh, I can give you dragon slaying magic. Have the whole conceptual enchant. She's way more valuable in that regard. The overseas arc, I actually really like that. I like that meme just because it was such it's something that you wouldn't expect to get its traction amongst the fandom, but it's just kind of funny. I really liked it. Lost Galaxy was my favorite. Lightspeed Rescue. We don't like Lightspeed Rescue, man. Man, dude, Lightspeed Rescue, dude. Carter was sick, and they have the Titanium Ranger was sick because he was the first original Ranger to the Americanized version from the Sentai, and you can definitely tell when it comes to that for their budget, because the Titanium Ranger isn't actually in a lot of scenes after he gets turned good, which was rough because he was really cool, and the fact he's not like a color, he's the Titanium Ranger, it was badass. One of my friends is he's rereading a bunch of manga, and he's doing Black Clover right now, and it reminded me of when Asta met Yami, and Asta thought Yami was just some really big 15-year-old. That was hilarious. I still think that was really funny. What's the best? I actually was never really a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles dude growing up. That's just me though. Lucy's still up there. Yeah, Lucy being relevant still is really good. Gray hasn't had any feats. He hasn't had any like big feats, like upgrades in 100 Years Quest. Like I said, that's why I can believe if somebody wanted to say Gray was below Urza. But I think Gray is above Urza just from what we've seen. But obviously Urza has gotten the upgrades on display, whereas Gray hasn't yet, because this arc, or like 100 Years Quest so far, it's been way more on Gray's character moving forward with Juvia rather than his fighting stuff. Because with Urza didn't have anything to like in the same sort to overcome. Because Gray, we know Gray for a while. We started to see like his feelings for Juvia start to shift a while back, and then obviously in Alvarez, like he outright said like what was going on, and then way more in detail in 100 Years Quest. Whereas like Urza with Jalal, like Jalal was the person that was like the conflict. Like you go back all the way to before Grand Mansion Games, you go on that beach. Jalal doesn't pull away from Urza. He doesn't push her away. Oh, they're gonna have sex on the beach. Urza would have kept going. Like obviously Urza, like she is so infatuated with Jalal that she only really sees him the same manner for like being a guy, because we know like she can be naked around Natsu, Gajio, Gray, like just doesn't bother her at all. But like the second she does anything embarrassing in Jalal's direction, and she gets all flustered. Jalal was the sole focus there. It's like the same thing with Juvia and Gray. You could have Gray just decide to go for it at some point, even like all the way back. I can't even say like just pick a spot. Like pick a spot with Gray. Like Gray doesn't hold back against Juvia. Like he just decides to go for it, and Juvia's all in. She doesn't care. Well, obviously her affections for him grew exponentially throughout the series through actual events and experiences. I mean, like you probably go all the way back to Tower of Heaven, or even in Phantom Lord, like when she fell for him. Gray decides to go for it, and they're gonna be in bed probably that night. Do you think Jaguar will have I hope he's got an ether gear. I'll be mad if he doesn't. Jaguar is really cool. Like Justice is the only person that I placed above Jaguar as like who I wanted to see his powers and whatnot, because I just wanted to see what his version was, because I knew to a degree of what it was, because we knew it was going to have a callback to the whole heavenly body type of magic. We saw it with Sieg, we saw it with Jalal. It was just like, how is it going to be implemented in a different manner this time? And I lost my train of thought. Okay, I had to look back over because I lost my train of thought super fast. But Jaguar, I want to see just in general because he looks badass. He's got a cool name. He's got those like weird markings under his eyes, like the cool slit eyes. He's got the sideburns mustache going on, the cool hair. I'm guessing he's the badass old guy of the series. Yeah, he's really cool. I just see Sinbad and Nur going at it. Doesn't stop Gray from being stronger than her. Yeah, I definitely think Gray's stronger. Gadget will be the true Lightning King. Over who? Like in Black Clover? I mean, doesn't have a lot of competition in Black Clover. He is in Black Clover, he's the strongest Lightning person. Do I type so fast? I know, I feel so bad sometimes when I'm in somebody else's stream and then my mic is close and they can hear my typing. Just because it's a reoccurring thing, but I do it. I try and do it fast enough just to, I need to reply to this guy super fast so I can get back to whatever conversation I'm in. But I hate it. I hate when that happens just because it's this annoying trait that somehow I can't, generally I'm able to realize, but I slip up so often and so easily. Great Image's Mercephobia and defeated Metro. I mean, he was able to kind of do, like, tiny little baby bits where it's, like, kind of way more of, like, when Wendy roared into Zirconis. It's like, yeah, you hurt him, but, I mean, like, did you really do much for damage? And he was already super beat up from Natsu thrashing him. Metro, though, like, Metro was definitely not a durable person. Takuma Terashima butchered voice for Shiki was so far. Butchered voice for Shiki so far than I expected. You don't like it? You don't like Shiki's voice? I think it fits him perfectly. This one's not me. Shiki seems to have a very Shiki seems like he'd have it. No, why would he have a slightly deep voice? Like the whole difference between Shikiara and Natsu is Shiki has very heavily been shown to have that very childlike, whimsical nature when he's not being darker. When he talks more seriously, I think is gonna when we have serious Shiki, I think is where you're gonna might see some of that. I mean, this is the same guy that voiced Jackal, so we know he can do more voices. Just Irene in general. If Irene takes over her body like that, again, that would make sense. We already know that she's manipulated Wendy's body, even as the personality, like we saw in Subaru. I feel like Gray is going to go up against Urson. Selene is going to have to have a little talk with Wendy. The thing is, though, if she gets to Wendy and she knows about Irene, it's going to be... If she knows about Irene already, it's going to be such a weird twist, because then it's like, well, how is she going to get out of there? Because if she wanted to at that point, she could erase... I imagine she would be able to erase Irene's personality that's inside her body. I don't know. I think the Dragon Eater will be the one to take out Selene. Oh, no way. No way. I don't think that. I don't even want that. It's got to be the main cast because they're the ones on the quest. They have to deal the final blow. They have to be the ones that primarily do like the heavy lifting. Like they can participate, but if it's not like a member of the main cast taking out Selene, I'll be like, I don't really know, because then it's like they didn't properly do the whole job themselves. Like them having... Well, at least primarily, like them having support is fine, but I mean, like if the Dragon Eaters do it over them, I don't know if I'll like that. It could work. It would depend on how it's handled, but like the base idea, I'm not sure if I would like it as much. Noelle can't beat any member of Team Natsu. No, she can't. Obviously, yeah. There's no chance. Diablos are going to show up and crash the Moonlight Party. I'm really curious to know how that's going to go, though, because they can't just show up. Selene is tricky on top of powerful. So, I mean, like, if they show up, like, she can just... If they try and approach Selene carelessly, she can just teleport them out and send them back to Earthland. Selene is a very dangerous character. Oh! And I wanted to mention, I do think one of the ways that they're going to have... One of the things they're going to have to do to beat Selene, and I think it'll make a lot of sense, because Mishima's doing a lot of callbacks in Haven Years Quest, is they're going to have to destroy the moon. And, you know, all the way going back to Gloon Island, you know, they'll destroy the moon part. But if they destroy the moon, I don't think she'll get weaker, but I think she'll lose that ability that we've seen where she just kind of can just flash power from the moon and teleport people. Maybe she, like, it would make sense. It'd be like, oh, well, she's going to have to repair the moon or something. Like, it'd be something that it would be believable. She's powerful enough to do something ridiculous like that. But, I would assume that doing that would be really valuable. Because if they were fighting her, she could just teleport them somewhere else. So that right now is one of the things I really want to see happen in an Orange Quest. Wild Force X Time Force was the best one for me. That was a really good one too. The Borod second transported the tree from Sirius Island to the battlefield during Albert. Maybe. That'd be a really weird thing to do, but it's logical in the idea that you said. Like if he managed to move it, or say if Brandish shrunk it and then brought it back and then put it on the somewhere on the mainland, because the tree itself is the one putting the magic in the island and whatnot. If they could manage that, it could logically make sense. But obviously, at that point, you would have to set that up, because it's not something that Word could just do. But it's something that if you put him in a situation and gave him the idea, he could probably do it. But in a scenario, if he managed to do it, yeah, then they would within a certain vicinity. It's not like it connects to Fiore. It's on Fiore, so all of Fiore. I would assume the same kind of size of space that the island is, which is still really big, but not like the whole place. But the thing is, though, with that, like I talked to somebody about that recently, is it's like, well, why don't you just go fight on the island all the time? Well, for one, that part wouldn't even make sense. But if you say you had someone like Brandish is the obvious good answer of that. If say they're like, oh, we want to fight this person really powerful, but we're gonna fight him on the island. That way we can't die. We have like a little magic boost. We have divine protection against dying. She could just shrink the island, or like anybody of that tier could just destroy the island outright. What's it gonna matter? Like if you have somebody who can just completely wipe the island off of the map, like good luck. The final villain of Megaforce sucked. Yes, that's actually one of the things too. The best years for me personally, like consistent years. It's not like everything after these was bad. I'd say like Lost Gal or In Space through like Ninja Storm were probably the better. Like those, I'd say were the best uninterrupted years of Power Rangers. Because even, like, especially in the older ones, like, a lot of the villains were really interesting. Ransik is such an interesting villain. Like, even if you, like, weren't... Say you never watched Power Rangers, and you didn't have the nostalgia factor. Because obviously, for me, like, I can watch any show that I watched as a kid, and I can overlook, obviously, some of the stuff about it, because I have the nostalgia factor in my brain. That kind of just neutralizes some of it. Some of, like, the silliness of it. But even then, if you just watched Power Rangers Time Force, you never watched Power Rangers 4, and you just paid attention to Ransik, he is an extremely interesting villain. They did a really good job at writing him, and he's surprisingly complex for a villain of a kid's show. Do you think they'll incorporate the Dragon Eaters? They have to incorporate the Dragon Eaters, Leech. Like, they have to. It would be weird for them not to. And plus, we know they're on the way. Not any exceeds. No, stop, Jason. That one's silly. Oh, he's memeing. I saw those stuff about being multiversal and stuff. I want to meet Jason David Frank. Oh, good luck with that. He's one of the only people, when I was at Power Morphicon, I didn't go meet. His line is hours. The only person I think that came close to him when I was there was, what's his name? RJ Seiler, who was Billy in the movie. Because obviously the difference is he's a movie star. He had a bit of an elevated spot than most of the people who were TV stars. Except for Jason David Frank. Jason David Frank he's like the gold star for the fandom. Everybody knows that. And I think he knows that. Well, he does know that. What am I saying? He's just way up there. And I thought about getting his autograph, but there were people that said they were waiting in line for like 8 to 10 hours. And I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I wasn't doing that. No. I just see some meme comments and scroll. My Samurai was cool. Oh, talking about Power Rangers. Yeah, Lost Galaxy for me is definitely my favorite. Ninja Storm. Ninja Storm has parts that I definitely could say were like kind of eh. The villain, he was really cool. I wasn't a huge fan on the main cast, but I'm forgetting their names. The dude's son who was the green samurai, he was cool. I loved his design. And he had the, he had the weighted clothing. He had the old-fashioned style. He popped the vest off. It hit the ground and got way more powerful. His sword was a helicopter with a shuriken for a propeller. He was cool. I loved him. He's definitely one of my favorites. Like, if I had to pick... The Six Rangers are always cool, but he's definitely one of the coolest ones in outright design. I forgot his name off the top of my head. It's been so long. I might... Like, I have the tab. Like, I still have the tab open. It's somewhere in my Discord settings. Like, I'm in, like, 80 Discords. But, if I can get to it at some point, I don't know, but... It's a little bit of the drama, and the thing is, like, I am not a very good, what is it? I'm not a very good kind of, like, I was gonna say influencer, but it's not influencer, it's, because I was gonna say just kind of, like, laying down the law, but I can't remember. Implement, I don't know what word I'm trying to use. Like, it's in the back of my head, and it's just barely there, but, I don't know, I don't implement the rules a lot. Like, some people, I think it was Broku made a server recently, and when I joined, I think it was Broku, I can't remember off the top of my head, because, like, it was such a short, lived position, but, like, I think it was him. I think he made me a mod, like, when I joined, and I was just like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing mod stuff. I'm gonna be there for fun. I'm not dealing with anyone's problems. I'm not gonna become some... I don't want to. I think if I could do that, if I can find people to kind of be like the authority people, that'd be one thing. But I'm not 100% sure. But I'll think about it. Because I know there are people that want me to, but it's the drama that I worry about. It's like one that I was in. It got awful, and then they had to end up deleting it. But we'll see. I won't consider it though. It's something that I haven't just written off the idea of it, but I could at some point. Yeah, DC is super toxic. Like, DC what? I missed something. What if Fairy Tail had a game that's like Naruto? I would love like just a basic fighting game. I'd be super like the not even Ninja Storm. Like what are the ones before that? Ultimate Ninja, where it's just like the 2D fighters. That to me is something that I think every fighting like battle series should have at one point. Like I don't like when they start out like what was it? My Hero. What was the one they did recently? Or actually, was it their first one? I don't know. The fighting game they did not too long ago. It was like a more of like a 3D style of combat. I wish that every series that was gonna do like a game like that. Same with Black Clover Quartet Knights. I think they should always start out with like that 2D battle stuff because it's such an easy way to start. It's kind of like the Fairy Tail game that came out. I was very happy about that too because turn-based games like that as well are hard to mess up. Stuff like that. Turn-based is the only other one I could say, but like if you wanted to have a fighting, you definitely start 2D because it's way better to do a 2D than do a 3D. And it's not like a 3D fighting game is automatically bad, but I mean, like, imagine how much easier it is probably on the people that making the game, and on top of that, it's probably way easier to have a ton more characters. I can't say for sure because obviously I don't know how to program or do any of that, but I feel like I can just guess based off of the structure of like how maps and like characters move and whatnot. I guess there can be a lot of drama. That's what I'm saying. It's like. I would need to kind of like set it up, and I don't know how to like. I don't know what rules I would put in place. It's more of the like getting it established would probably be the hardest part for me, just because like I don't really know what I would want to what laws I would want to put up. Like who would be my mods? Who can I trust that would be like that I could know would be there most of the time and would be able to implement and enforce rules. Dino Charge was not that bad. I like Dino Charge. Not gonna lie, I liked it. So I know it's one of those ones that people are kind of like, but I did genuinely really like it. Ninja Storm, best game. I really liked the Ultimate Ninja, like the 2D ones, unless I'm thinking of a different game. You know what I mean, though? I remember playing some of those, and those were like some of the ones that had like people using way crazier jutsu than they actually had in the series. Not to one shot to anybody in One Piece. Yes, I mean that's easy, factual. Like One Piece isn't One Piece has high stamina and high physical strength, but I mean, like, they don't have hacks. They don't have, like, as many crazy feats and just, like, general abilities that, like, other series have. How can Mishima have us fight the Moon Dragon, yet not invite the Light and Shadow Dragon Slayers or Jalal the Space Wizard? So, I think that Selene is going to bring them there. Because a lot of the characters are like, well, how are they going to get there? We know the Dragon Eaters are on their way. We don't know how they're going to get there, but they should know a way to get there. Because otherwise, why would they even bother sending people out if they had no idea yet to do it? Selene, though, I could easily see Selene just, oh, hey, this would be a fun thing to do. Drops a portal, grabs these guys, and then puts them, like, in front of some other people to, like, fight and stuff. You ever been at Luffy versus Natsu debates? I mean, yeah, but that's not really a debate. Natsu destroys Luffy. Natsu is so much higher than Luffy in general stats. Natsu's way more hacks. He's got way better feats. He's fought way more dangerous opponents. Like, One Piece characters, for the most part, are way more set physical fighters with, like, gimmicks and traits or abilities. Whereas, like, Fairy Tail characters have way more hacks, general powers. Something like what Black Clover has as well. But really, it's like when you think of, if you said hacks in Black Clover, tons of characters. Hacks in Fairy Tail, tons of characters. If you think hacks in One Piece, like, there's a couple people. There's a couple people that it really kind of falls under. And like, everybody always jumps right to Law, because Law's, like, the only character in One Piece that has a lot of hacks, and it's all pretty good hacks. But for the most part, like, One Piece is just so far behind a lot of these others in terms of, like, if you did, like, versus fight stuff. And obviously, that's not the primary thing about the series. But if you wanted to talk about that, obviously, like, One Piece just falls so much further behind. 1 second. I grabbed my phone to respond to my friend instead, so I didn't massively type into my mic. Alright, yeah. He, looks like he's... I think he bought Volume 1 of Seven Deadly Sins, and he's never read it, so I was just saying, like... I was pretty much saying, like, it's good overall, and the sequel's coming out. The sequel's coming out in, what's today? I think 10 days as it comes out? I'm actually really excited for that. I really am interested in the sequel. How can Mishima... Oh, I already read this one. I think we'll get an evil giant version of Mother, like an anti-Mother. So, Mishima said there's some secret about Mother we don't know about. And I'm wondering if it's going to be a darker secret. Like, what if Mother could be one of those characters that are just neutral? Like, the idea of, like, I had this idea, like, if you had essentially the same character of Mother, and Mother is, you know, some cosmic creation person. If she is, like, a god, then you could have, like, the same concept of, like, the Christian God kind of thing. Like, if she's the creator, it's like, oh, maybe like this, like, absurdly pure creature kind of thing. Like, she would probably see, like, a really good person the same way as a really bad person, but they're still kind of like the idea of she's Mother, it'd be like children to her. And it's like a good person wouldn't differ from a bad person from her, because they're still kind of... It would probably be something so below her, the concepts of it, where she's just looking at them from, like, a standpoint of, like, being a god. Or I guess a goddess in her case. She's a really weird character. I really want to know what Mishima has plans for her. Because it's a weird thing to throw in early. Like, we got her at, what, chapter 2? Let's see. We need more info on the Exceeds. I want to know if they're originally from Elantir, because I think they are. I think the Exceeds are originally from Elantir. I see people saying that Luffy can beat Naruto. No, Luffy can't beat Naruto. I'd say a DBF. Oh, Fighter Z style Fairy Tail. I would love that. Like I said, I think 2D fighting games are the way to go. Like, sometimes you can get good 3D fighting. Budokai Tenkaichi 3, solid fighting game. That to me is like that's such a solid ass fighting game, and just every aspect of it. You didn't have anything really that crazy they tried to do, and it all flowed really well at a ton of characters, even like little fodder random nobodies. But at the same time, it was so fun just to see the amount that they had, and the controls and everything in the game were good, which is really weird because there was a chunk of time after that game where Dragon Ball games sucked ass. That was for me where Dragon Ball started to fall off for me, because like the series had ended obviously long time ago, even GT and whatnot. It wasn't even close to when stuff where Super came out and everything. But we had the games, and then Budokai Tenkaichi 3, man. Oh, those games, like, Tenkaichi 2 was really good. Tenkaichi 3 was so good. And then, I can't remember what one came after, like, Raging Blast or something, and it's like, you go from a game with, like, 120-something characters, really good combat and everything, and then you go to, like, subpar combat and, like, 30 characters. It's just like, ugh. It's just such a downgrade. Luffy has been getting a majority. Luffy has been getting the majority over Natsu lately on the debates. Luffy can't take Natsu. Here's the thing. Luffy is up against a guy, and they got one shot by a guy. Natsu would trash. Natsu would completely demolish Kaido. It's not even remotely close. People like Irene casually can do stuff that took 2 admirals fighting for 10 straight days to do. What they did on Punk Hazard, Irene in base with no effort can do. We saw that. Near Mount Kokoba, Mount Zonia. She just put her staff to the ground, changed the entire biome, evaporated all the snow, completely cleared out the sky. Like, Fairy Tail characters are just so much more ridiculous than One Piece characters. Like it's not even close. Luffy can't do anything to Natsu. Put Luffy in a fight against Natsu. Just the start. Natsu's base heat is going to melt Luffy. Like, it's not even close. Like, come on. Natsu took a half-power roar for Mercephobia. Granted, like, it's not like Natsu, like, matched him in strength at that point. Like, I'm not even talking about EDF. I'm not even gonna bring EDF Natsu on the table because that's overkilled so drastically. Luffy, in his strongest form, at the beginning of Wano, casually one-shot by Kaido. Mercephobia, 50% roar, hit Natsu. Natsu didn't go down. It overpowered Natsu's roar, but Natsu was still fighting. Mercephobia is he is so much further than Kaido. It's not even remotely funny. He casually pulled an entire ocean off the ground and pulled it in the sky and condensed it into a body of water that he just freely can control. That's ridiculous. Base Natsu one-shot Luffy. It's not even close, man. Between the Galactic and Interstellar, which sensation group would you say you're more interested in learning more about? I mean, if you wanted to look at it from just the characters, obviously I'm going to pick the Galactica because we don't know all of them yet. But right now, out of what we know, I want to see Jaguar. Jaguar, to me, I really like his design. He's got the badass old guy trope just radiating off of him, and I want to see what he can do. Because as far as we know, also, he's the highest ranked in their, in their whole military structure. Though I can guess there's people above him, but we don't know them yet. He's the top one that we know of, and I want to see what this guy can do. I mean, his name is badass. He looks badass. He's, I would assume, the leader of the Interstellar. He looks awesome. I truly think Kukuna could beat Goji. Oh yeah, 100%. Because she just frees him over. What'd he do? He can't use Curse. Can't use any of his abilities. She's way faster too. How can people legit even have Luffy over Natsu? It's because Luffy's upgrades are way more visible right now. Like Natsu's gotten a new form, but we haven't seen any of the upgrades. But if you just have to all you have to do to completely destroy their argument is look at some of the people they've fought. Look at where Natsu's been at. Kaido sure didn't one-shot Luffy this time. I mean, yeah, but he still damaged him. Kaido tries that on Natsu. Natsu is melting that club. Natsu would snap that club, if not. Like, he would swing it at him, it would probably be liquid before it even hit him. Akune versus Xenon? Yeah, Akune, obviously. Akune stopped Xenon, 100%. Do you think with Sister's Hacks stronger than Jin? No, I don't think so. Jin is definitely... I'd say Jin is stronger. And Jin hasn't even achieved overdrive yet. He hasn't even gotten to that part. Xenon, mid-dis Romeo, though. I mean, yeah, Romeo. August versus Marvel Odin? I mean, Odin should be way more powerful. I can't say, because I don't know, obviously, the feats of Odin, because I'm not a huge Marvel guy, but I can guess, and I'm very confident when I guess that Odin's more powerful. I know Odin is obviously the king of the Norse gods, and then I know, like, you have, like, characters like Thor and stuff, like, star-level feats, easy. when you look at like the full expanded areas of like some of their crazier feats. And I can guarantee there's way crazier stuff than that. I can just guess, and again, I'm very confident in guessing. Jin versus Wise, I'd go Jin. For Jin versus Wise is rough because like obviously Wise has a power advantage, but I think Jin is just so much faster, so much more powerful, and is so much more deadly than Jin. Because Jin's arsenal suit is good, but he doesn't have anything that's like just would decimate Jin. Whereas Jin, like he was bodying that pseudo. I wish we had a name for that level right before Overdrive when the ether lines start to kind of levitate all over their bodies. Like he was bodying Shiki before that point, and he would probably still keep just pushing the hell out of him once they did it. Like even if he's equal to Shiki at that point, it's like that's still a way above Wise. I don't think it's just not at me. You think Rebecca will go back to the other timeline example? I'm really curious about that. Like if she only could go forward in jumping, like in terms of world, she could go back. But would she want to go back though? The Rebecca stuff from Xenolith is really weird though, Jason. I want to know more of what Mishima's plans are, because Mishima did say, like we know from that one scene really early on with like the 20,000 years thing with the B cube is obviously really ominous, but also Xiao Mei said that time is almost irrelevant in this series. So Mishima doing time stuff is going to make a lot of sense. Like it wouldn't surprise me if somehow Satan Gravity caused like a much younger Rebecca to cat leap her back in time at some point. Dory fight was fire. Oh yeah, 100%. I'm hoping that I don't want Rebecca to be a princess. I'm hoping she's some form of like experimented person, I fully still want to go on the idea that the reason she's such a good shot is like she was trained like as a kid how to shoot like some form of sleeper cell agent. Or I don't know. That was like a really old theory before we found out about Cat Leaper and stuff, but I still like the idea. But I'm fine with her just being, you know, some random girl with like a really good power. But I feel like she has to have, there has to be a good explanation how she got it. Laxus X Mirror Jane is the best. It doesn't make sense though, is the thing. There's no reason for Mira Jane and Laxus to be a ship currently, but there's already a reason for Kyria and Laxus to be a ship. Because literally, the way that Laxus has developed his character is what Kyria likes about him the most. So, and she's going to be pursuing him, so there's stuff in the future that is obviously going to happen. Like, there's no reason for Mira Jane to like Laxus in any of that way based on what we've seen. The closest thing that we really seen is like there's like a cover picture where they're dancing, and then like a part where she's cutting his hair. That's about it. Even the Dragonair says Georg redeem and become allies. I think they all will. I think they're all going to become allies. Like we haven't seen anything from the Dragonairs that imply there's some like irredeemable villains yet. Against stronger people, she would likely need to build more strength to push them past their threshold. What are you talking about? Oh, Rebecca? Oh wait, can Sister hacks Chris though? Maybe. I feel like if she tried though, it would come down to a power level thing, and I think he's stronger. I'm more sure Soccer against Nebel. I mean, she really just is just a strong puncher. Like he's just gonna like get her all sticky, and then he punch strong into something elastic, and it's gonna rebound. Obviously, Soccer's going. And then there's the Kyoko Responding card. But that I don't think Alderon's dead. I mentioned that. Shippuden Sakura. We need to talk about Sakura stuff. Kana overpowers Vanessa's fate manipulation. I mean, she's just straight more powerful. But if you put Vanessa versus if you put Vanessa versus Kana, and Kana just knows that she can't kill her because of Rouge, she just traps her in a card. There you go. Mavis Vermilion versus Marileona Vermilion. I mean, Mavis isn't a fighter. That's the thing. Like, I thought Mavis, like, a long time ago, I figured Mavis would be a fighter. I mean, Mavis still has law, but I mean... Mavis would have to see her as an enemy, but she can also do illusions. If she can illusion up Marileona and then cast law, or at that point, it's already fairy law, but I mean, like, if she could do that, then obviously, then Marileona's done. But I mean, obviously, Marileona is way more of a fighter than Mavis. But Mavis is way more of a tactical fighter. So just putting Mavis on the spot would put her in a dangerous scenario. Obviously, you have somebody who's way better at fighting, on the go, rather than Mavis, who is a, prep and intelligence-based fighter. Tachi versus Gray, Genjutsu, or Flash Freeze. What? I mean, the thing about Gray, though, is Gray, like, if you put Gray in illusion, he can still just freeze the whole area. Because it's the same thing with, like, if you had, like, Aizen or Shinji, if you, like, they use their abilities on you, you don't have to know exactly where you're aiming if you don't care. Like, if you just, like, I have to beat this guy, you just AoE'd the whole area, GG. Dude, oh, I just talking about Sakura. Mavis Immortal. That's true, though, if you want to count Mavis's immortality. I wasn't counting her immortality, but if you want to count Mavis's curse, then yeah. I want my cat shut up. Hi, Karazan. She just walks up and lays down in my lap and starts hanging out. Rill versus Langris. I'd go with Rill on that. I don't think that Langris is stronger than Rill. Like, Langris has a better magic, just base, but we haven't seen what Rill can do now. And on top of that, we know Rill is still a captain. Do you think the Shining Stars know about Elsie's past? Oh, they have to! There was no way they went and they found her and they didn't know about what was going on in this, the Kaede cosmos. Seki versus Langris. Oh, come on. Obviously, like, I want to say Seki because I do like the Seki memes. But Langris, I mean, realistically. I do want Seki to have a good moment this arc. I really am hoping, even if it's like some random 5% devil-powered dude who barely has a name, if Seki beats him, I'd be pretty happy. That'd make me very stoked. Like, Seki all out is able to just like, set up a win and get it by the skin of his teeth. I'd be very, very happy. Because, like, even if Seki's silly, I still like him. I think he's an entertaining guy, you know, above all else. And I'm perfectly fine with him getting some form of W. Like, if we get one Seki chapter in this whole arc, I'll be happy. Let's talk about Sakura. Mark Gear versus Dante. Mark Gear. The thing about Dante is Dante messes around until he can get motivated. But I mean, like, Mark Gear, the second Mark Gear drops Memento Mori, it's over. You're not getting a, oh, I'll heal and then, you know, do whatever kind of crazy hacks thing I'm going to have next and set up a singularity. It's like, no, you get by Memento Mori, you're done. That's the really dangerous thing about Dante. That I'd say is the biggest counter to Dante in general, because his personality does play into it. If you have somebody that's hacks enough to take him down and you could just drop that on him because of how Dante is, like, he's probably not going to dodge. Like, we know that he only was dodging Asta later because he found out about, like, anti-magic can hurt him. So, you know, if you have something that can just nope him from the start, then it's like, what are you going to do? Nothing. Let's see. I think I'm almost caught up. I feel like that's not true, though. Wait for the next chapter. Oh, yeah, that's tomorrow, so I'm definitely going to read that. What's your thoughts on the next 3 to 4 Shonen Jump new mangas coming soon? I haven't looked at them. I haven't looked at the new mangas coming out. Because I heard about it, and I saw that none of them were from, like, anybody that I had. Like, there's the guy who did Fantasies and Golem Hearts. I have to relook at his name. I'm really hoping Fantasies gets serialized. I liked Golem Hearts. I really liked the concept and the main character. I was sad that it got canceled. It's one of those series I feel like if they just let it play out a little bit more, because the base premise was good. I liked the world. I liked that the main character was like this golem trying to be a person. He was like Battle Pinocchio. It was cool. In order to use the seal, you have to save most of your chakra. Oh, I don't know what I'm talking about Sakura for. I don't really care about Sakura. Kagura versus Jack. Oh, I'm gonna go with Jack. The thing about someone like Kagura that would screw him over, if Jack can cut her sword, then it's like, what are you gonna do? But Jack's, I'm trying to think to actually, let me think about actually, because the thing about Jack versus Kagura is like, he can't, there's nothing really for him to adapt to, so it just comes down to a sword match. I had to retract my previous one on that. I still probably give it to Jack, because Jack has the fact that as he fights, he gets progressively faster. And Jack's new form especially, like, I imagine, you know, when he's moving, he's doing multiple slashes all at once. And Kagura is definitely strong. But I mean, like, think about one of Kagura's better abilities is the fact that she has gravity manipulation. Jack cuts it. He just did it. I mean, yeah, I'd probably give it to Jack. I'm perfectly honest. Evil being stronger is Wank War Arc. Soccer would beat Evil. I don't know about that. And Soccer is just kind of weak, and she doesn't have any hacks. She's literally just punches hard. Like, does Soccer have any techniques I'm not thinking about that it's like really, it's like, oh man, you know, a trump card. I just remember she did her Shanaroo punch, and it's like, you just punch, you're just punching hard. What's that gonna do? Urza versus Mirror Jane? Oh, Urza, that's not a contest. Magic level is correlated to physical level. That depends on what magic they have. Like, there's definitely a level that's by base, because we've seen Lucy. There's that part when they're rebuilding the guild after the Avatar arc, and Lucy is like carrying these giant like wooden poles, and it's like for the other characters it's nothing, but for Lucy, like physically Lucy's build, she's pretty like. I mean, I was going to say petite, but she's not like Levy. She's just a normally built girl, except for, you know, her thickness. And obviously her arm strength doesn't look like it can carry these things, and her magic isn't centered around physically boosting herself. So her having this outright basic, just physical strength increase that she was able to do that shows that even in somebody who doesn't focus on physical strength type of magic has just the basic super strength. Mirror Jane can't beat Urza. That's silly. Come on. To be honest, wait. Oh no! I lost my spot. Hang on. Luckily, I remember the last thing that was said, but there's so much up here. There's so many comments. Man, I wish I had the ability to like not fall behind. See, I accidentally scrolled down, and I hate when that happens, because like the chat, it will kind of like push some of the stuff outside of the top bar, and then it's like I can't see some of the so like I said, same thing as last time. Now I'm going to continue, if anything, between the previous spot and the and now, and I missed your comment because of it's the YouTube scroll bar. Just re-ask it, I'll get to it. Sun Jewel is the best place to end season. Yeah, I agree. Season 2 will be the Sun Jewel Drac. No, I think Season 2 will be Sun Jewel. Because Drac and Joe's arc, I think, should be its own arc. I think it should be its own season. The Sun Jewel, I think, would be the best place to end the first year, just because it ends on a really good spot that has a fitting, hype, badass action moment for the end of like the first season that would get people hyped up for a second season. Whereas, like, if they did it with Digitalis, I don't think that would really be the case at all. It's like, you want to end the first season with them fake blowing up some hacker dude's ship, and then he pisses all over himself. Like, that's not a good end for the first season. Opening to see Vierna, Sting and Rogue. Sting and Rogue and Sting Master. Oh, yeah, I hope so too. I would like to believe that both of them over this last year have practiced it, and they can give it to each other if they need be, or maybe that's their Dragon Force that they can just kind of do. Like, they can both become, it'd be like White Shadow Dragon. I guess they both be White Shadow, or you can do like Black Light for Rogue. Maybe like Black Light Dragon or something. Shadow Light Dragon. That's like the opposite version. Something like that I think would be really cool. I'd be fine with both White Shadow Dragons, though. Actually, no, because like White Shadow Dragon feels more for Sting. Whereas I think like a Black Light or a Shadow Light or something like that would be really cool for Rogue. Magic Guild Arts looked up with Selene. I mean, Selene might try for it, man. I'm super invested in how they're going to find Viernes. Yeah, I feel though. My belief is that Selene knows. I think Selene knows where he is. It would make perfect sense if Selene had because Selene should have the resources to find out where he is, but also she would be able to go see him whenever she wanted, because she can just teleport there. She can just open a portal. Well, Rogue was kind of down a bit when they're against Larcade, and then he also gave Sting his magic, so it wasn't just like he just ate the shadows. He also had the amount of magic that was in Rogue's body fused with his as well. Selene Ignia. That, I mean, yeah, but I mean, would Selene even want to go near Ignia? Because Ignia seems like somebody that would try and kill her, because he's kind of crazy. I mean, she's crazy too, but he's like combat crazy. Let's time this Asta versus Miriam. I mean, Asta I mean, I'm actually no. I'm gonna go Asta. Like he's way faster, way more physically like strong, way more. You should have way more like heavier attacks than him. Louis versus. Oh, I already read this one. Oh wait, no, I did lose my spot. Okay. Did I? Meliodas versus Asta? I'd go Asta. Let's see. Natsu burn reality, but Naruto can't do against Natsu. Naruto just has, like, I think Naruto just has a larger arsenal. Like, Natsu straight counters him by the way that, like, their abilities work. But Naruto's already peaked out, and Natsu's still got a ways to go. And I think by the time their stories are kind of over, I mean, like, Naruto's story is over, but he just got a power-up. But his power-up literally was just, it makes him physically stronger and faster. But, like, you put Barry and Naruto against Ethereus Dragon Force Natsu's going to destroy him. I realize that all of Jalal's and Heroes works. They don't simp. No, so no. First off, Sieg didn't simp for Ellie. Sieg was looking for her. Jalal doesn't simp for Urza. Justice doesn't simp for Elsie. Completely different scenarios. Like if you wanted to say, like Juvia is the idea of somebody when you want to say simps for another person. Jalal has affections for obviously for Urza, but he doesn't simp for her. Wait.
Oh shit! You just busted a nut.
Did I get a donation? I didn't see it. There we go. It didn't show up on my my YouTube spot, but it showed up on my Streamlabs. Thank you, Jank Miller, for the $2 super chat. Where would you rank Mira Jane if she kept training? Mira Jane is still like, she has the obvious like latent potential. Like she's one of those people that is definitely just like she was born with a lot of power and she's got a really good magic and stuff. Like she still should be somewhere with, like within the top 10 of the guild, and I think her spot really would just kind of more solidly maintain it. Like I don't see her surpassing someone like Gajul. I don't think Mira Jane's ever gonna like overtake Gajul, like not where he's at or like any of those people. But I think she still would sit forever like a solid spot in the upper parts of the guild. Because it's not like she's one of the weaker people in the guild. Because there's still, like, you know, even in, like, the Thunder Legion, like, she's still above all of them. She's still above, you know, Levi, Jet, and Droid. There's a lot of people that Mira Jane is still above. It's just like Mira Jane is a step right before you get into, like, kind of like Spriggan tier. She should still be Wizard Saint level at least, but not as much as somebody like, you know, someone like Urza. Not, let's see. Is it Meliodas busted? Meliodas isn't as busted as people give him credit for. The thing that obviously that he's most busted about is like something like full counter, but it's like he doesn't have any magic to bounce back at Asta. He's also not immortal anymore, and yeah, I mean, Asta just has more on him. On top of that, like I honestly would give it to I'd give it to Asta. If you ask Broku that question, he'll go off. That's actually. If you join Broku's server and want to ask him, let me get a link. I'm gonna post a link. If you want to go in there and ask him who wins between Meliodas and Asta, actually, go in there and say that you heard that that Meliodas defeats the. I'm gonna post it in the thing. Go in there and say that you heard that Meliodas can defeat the Black Bulls to Broku. We'll do a raid. He won't get mad if people join, but it'll be funny because he told me he's been in that debate like 20 times, and he believes that the Black Bulls can beat the 7 Ellie Sins, and it'll be really funny just in general to see it. But yeah, I'll eventually maybe make my own Discord. I don't know. I had a tab open. I don't know where it is in my list because I'm in a ton of Discords. That's one of the reasons I hate it when people offer. There's always that time, when some other content creator or somebody just has a Discord channel and they want to, say, hey, do you want to join my Discord? And I have to either bite the bullet on it and join to be nice, or I have to be like, no, thank you. And then I have to explain, like, I'm in like 40 Discords already because everyone wants to invite me to their Discord. It's like my one curse as somebody somebody like me somehow who's just not that social of a guy. And then at the same time, I'm somehow in like 40 million Discords. But yeah, we'll go in there. We'll raid there, and we'll tell them that you tell Broku that you heard that Meliodas can defeat all the Black Bulls. Laxus destroys Gotcha. Oh yeah, what would Gotcha do against Laxus? Because it's like, oh, true lighting, okay. Like Laxus eats it. What is that gonna do? Well, he has a homing lightning on him, okay? You're just making food for Laxus, come right to him. Gaja can't do anything to him. And Laxus is just going to straight overpower him. Like, he's just a perfect counter to him. As time burning, feat does not scale to his AP or DC. It's hacks. It's such a broken hacks that it's one that it's going to bypass stats in general. If you could take a guy who's got 10 times the level of durability as Natsu, that's not gonna matter. If you have a guy destroying concepts of reality, he can literally burn concepts. Stats don't matter if that hits you. That's a very broken power. Though Naruto can even make 1-3 clones. I mean, yeah, he can, but it's just I don't think he just does it anymore. But yeah, let me see. War Discoveries. I don't know exactly what that is. You're putting... Wait. Gon against... I wouldn't put Gon over Ruby. I don't think that at all. Like, Gon is definitely stronger. I mean, in Baryon mode, Naruto would win. I mean, if you put EDF Natsu against Baryon Naruto, like, Natsu destroys him. Absolutely. Like, he went... Like, that multiplier is at least double-digit millions. It's ridiculous. Like... I thought it was pretty big just in general, obviously, when we got it. But then we had the stuff with Wolfen, like, hey, that attack in your base form did 1 point of 100 million damage. And then you have EDF Natsu demolishing somebody on equal standing to Alderaan. It's just like, wow, that's... Holy shit. That was a very big number to drop in there. Oh, you like Shiki's white? I like it too. I think Natsu is more hacks than Naruto. But the thing is, Naruto has... more casual big attacks, and he's got like obviously all of his clones and stuff, but like really when you think about it, any chakra based ability, energy equalization is the standard, so Natsu would be able to burn it. And then when you look at all Naruto's forms, he'd be wearing something essentially flammable to Natsu. Like, he's pretty much wearing gasoline. Naruto was rusty. I think Sasuke was fine, wasn't he? Once Natsu entered Fire Dragon King mode, he will stop Naruto. I don't know about that one. Definitely not that one. Marion mode has really trash hacks. It didn't give him any hacks. It just made him a lot faster and physically stronger. I don't think it gave him any hacks. Jaguar on Giant Beast. I'm really hoping Jaguar has, like, I don't know what it is. I think it's the eyes. I want him to have almost like a Dragon Slayer power. I'm hoping his, like, is described and it's pretty much Dragon Slayer magic in space. I want that. I want that a lot. Let's see. Shiki doesn't have a raspy voice like Natsu. Shiki and Natsu both have childish voices, but Natsu is probably aiming to impersonate a dragon edgy. Well, Shiki's is way more supposed to be like, way more like childlike whimsical. You can tell in the happier tone to his voice. Shinra versus Deku? Shinra demolishes him! I'm confused, why does Irene not want Urza to know about her? Probably just because it would be an extra complication, is my guess. He probably just doesn't want to deal with that. Maybe when she gets her body back, she might try and talk to her, but I don't know. Naruto is still stronger than when he is against Kage. Yeah, I know. Adult Naruto. As people are just talking about Naruto, I don't want to talk about Naruto very much. Noctate surpassment limits to watch this Jack get stronger. Well, I think he knew, though, that he had to with Jack. I think that's the difference, is he was in a scenario where he had to deal with it, and he knew that Jack was somebody that was going to be required to fight Dante, and he knew that he had to push Jack. Yeah, Shinra stomps. That's ridiculous. So were the Dragon Slayers from Irene's time stronger than current time? I wouldn't say so. Like, as far as we knew... We don't obviously know them in the totality, but we know magic in the world, like the general Ether Nano in the air, is way more potent and way stronger than it was 400 years, plus ago. It would really depend on the dragons, like, that they defeat. Because, like, easily the main cast, like, any of the Dragon Slayer, well, not the main cast, any of the Dragon Slayers, like I think Gajeel, Natsu, Sting, and Rogue, they can take... like Laxus, they would be able to take like a fodder dragon. Just like I think fully fun. You put them against some random nobody dragon like Zirconis. I think they would destroy him. It would really just depend on like how many it would take to back then to defeat bigger dragons that were in the war. I'm not downplaying adult Naruto. It's just the thing. The thing, though, about Natsu versus Naruto specifically is Natsu does counter Naruto's, like, the way his abilities work, you know, because it's all very, like, raw chakra-based in utilization. And like I said, energy equalization, so all of those attacks are gonna get burned by Natsu. Like, again, imagine somebody that, if in Fairy Tail, wearing just a layer of magic over themselves, like, and then Natsu goes to attack him, it's like, he's just gonna set that shit on fire. Yeah, see, Leech knows. Natsu can still die. Naruto's better AP. Naruto has better casual AP, I'd say, is the thing. Like, it's way easier for him to throw around the big attacks than Natsu. That's the big gap between them right now. But like I said, outside of Barry and Mode is a big surprise, but Natsu still has a long way to go, as we obviously have seen, and established with his eventual fight with Ignia. But Barry in Mode was already, like, a big surprise for Naruto. I don't see Naruto getting stronger than he is now outside of that. Because that's probably why they didn't give him any outright general new powers to it. It was just Barry in Mode and made him way physically stronger and faster. That's my guess, at least. Obviously, I don't know for a fact. Let's see. Between Curses and Jitsukaisen and Aetherius and Fairy Tail, which between the two do you think is more evil? I mean, probably the Curses, because the thing about the Aetherius is they're doing what they were made for. Like, it's in their DNA. It's something that is deeply rooted in who they are and their purpose. So that outright makes it so much more of a justifiable reason. But the thing about that is harder for them when you look at some of them is something like when you saw Jogo in that restaurant. Is when they start just killing people for fun. That's where it starts to get, you know, more evil side. But Jogo would do it all the time for fun. And though, like, Kyoka and stuff would torture people, she didn't go around just start, like, capturing people in mass and doing it. Like, they had their own plans. But all the Curses are way more evil, as we know. Like, they aren't very redeemable, and they relish in human suffering. Whereas, like, some of the Aetherius seem pretty normal. Like, if they didn't have their their ingrained want to do their job with Zeref, they'd probably, it'd be some of the characters that would just kind of live out, find something else to do in life, maybe just try and live happier. Oh, I fully believe that Diablos is going to show up, but I don't think they're going to just crash the party, because like I said, if they have to be careful, because Selene should be perfectly fine just teleporting people out. That's just multi-continental. Natsu, though, is multi-continental in base. Naruto is baseline moon level. Yeah, but Natsu's that in base form. And when you get to, like, Dragon Force, there's, like, a multiplier of several hundred. As it should be at least above Lost Aspect, given what Gray was going to do against base Zeref, whereas Dragon Force Natsu destroyed the body of Fairy Heart Zeref before he, reversed time and whatnot, but he still did it. So it should just be stronger, and we know that Dragon Force as a singular power-up is, like, the strongest one in the series. Do you think Aghanim return? I'm such on the fence on that, because I kind of want him to, but at the same time I don't, just because he's dead, but I'm like, it would be like another thing that we'd have to, like, hear people say, like, implied deaths or whatnot. But it would be an easy way to bring him back, just to watch him be a badass and just watch him tear through people. He even went to the moon. Now people are talking about the moon and whatnot. I'm gonna scroll down. I don't want to talk about Naruto. This has been like half of this last like 20 minutes has been Naruto. And someone actually explained why Lucy beats Null. Oh, she's just straight like above her in stats. Like, she still was able to keep up with Spriggan level people. She's outright just at a higher tier. Noelle just has more combat like utilization with her abilities, but like Lucy has kept up with just bigger people. She's done bigger things, and her baseline stats should be above Noelle by a lot. That's pretty much it at this point. Like I said, if you put them at the same level, I'd probably give it to Noelle, just because she's way more of like a combat-based fighter. Whereas like Lucy's is more on her intelligence and utility. I just got lost in hearing the music for a second. Natsu did move and stop time. That is factual, actually. Noelle can't beat Lucy. Like, Lucy took attacks from Brandish. But Brandish against... I mean, even casual Brandish against Noelle. Noelle dies. Use Command T. She's gonna destroy her. You think it's more cruel, Mahito killing Junpei and laughing, or Jack and Joe killing it? I would say I'd say Mahito, because Mahito set it up to do that. And Junpei was like Junpei saw him as a friend. Whereas, like, legitimately with Shiki and Drac and Joe, Shiki and crew did invade his base. That, though, is true. They invaded his base. And, like, the hard part about what Drac and Joe, really, when you think about the beginning, like, that whole part of the arc, if they didn't go to confront him, that wouldn't happen. Like, they would have probably had to deal with him later, but they could have dealt with him later. It is to a degree a little bit their fault, just because they decided to go out of their way to go there. Whereas Junpei thought Mahito was his friend. Let's see people talk more fight stuff. Oh, you can't use silly stuff with, like, Himawari Hendrickson. That's not fair. That's like counting Brandish when she had her pollen allergies and kind of just punched her. Like, it was done in a silly manner. Yeah, but Natsu's burning time, it doesn't matter about AC. It doesn't matter about potency or destructive power at that point. It's a hacks at such a level that stats don't matter. If you don't have a resistance to something like conceptual destruction, you get hit by it, you're dead. Natsu, wait, is that not Savage Dragon Flames against Ignil? Oh, only Natsu was stronger at that point. Natsu killed a god, Naruto saved by 3. Oh my god, people are really giving Naruto a bad time right now. The gods are... No, you talk about, like, if you want to talk about Ikusa Tsunagi, I mean, like, in Naruto, like, Ikusa Tsunagi would probably be somewhere around, like, you know, fairly set tailed beast level. What are you talking about, Zeref? No, Zeref could reset timelines. He transcended the concept of time and took an infinite energy source to take control of a concept of reality, a literal hole in the universe. Like, he's ridiculous. People are just talking about power level stuff now. Did you read here, Mishima's interview? I haven't looked at parts of it. But, I didn't read all of it. Most of this, I just listened to Quan Credible talk about it. And by the way, actually, now that I'm gonna bring it up, I'm gonna give shout outs to the homies. Subscribe to, and, you know, check out all the other guys' videos and channels and stuff. And like I said, I've already mentioned Broku in the video. I just mentioned Quan Credible, if you want to get to buy him. Quan is starting to do more Eden Zero content, so definitely go check out his channel if you want to. And, you know, it's the Quan Credible. Oh, no, it's just Quan Credible. I don't think it's the Quan Credible on YouTube, but yeah, Quan Credible. I'm sure most people that see me in streams and stuff have interacted with him. Josuke, we need to get Josuke back to 1,000. He had 1,000, and his channel got screwed over by dumb copyright stuff that was definitely junk because of Demon Slayer. They were like they were tagging everything that even talked about the Demon Slayer anime for a while. RTL Faith, check him out as well. Who else? I don't want J Cloud. I mean, everybody probably, you know, anybody here that likes Black Clover, it's already subscribed to J Cloud. He's got him and Broku have a ton. I think they're both at like 80K or something ridiculous. I don't know if I ever want to get that big, to be perfectly honest, though. I don't know them. I'm kind of fine with where my channel's at. I like the idea of getting to about 5K and just kind of like steadily being there. But I mean, like, I'm not going to stop it if it keeps going up. But I'm not going to make too much of an effort to make it go higher than that. Yeah, Natsu didn't kill Zeref. Zeref was on the ground because Zeref's curse could withstood the fire. I see people talking now. There's still more power level stuff, man. You play the Fairy Tail mobile game? I had one of them. I played Dice Magic. I wish we... Well, no, I was going to say I wish we had... I don't want us to get a mobile game in English. Unless it was... I mean, if it was beneficial for the series, like if it suddenly like gave us like all this stuff that really helped push like the fandom and like maybe get us a better anime. Like maybe like the game, they did a mobile game, it made so much money and they're like, oh, we're going to be able to do a much better anime now for 100 requests or something. But other than that, just because I know I'll spend money, I don't want that. Oh, unless you mean the Switch game, I have that. I have it Switch and Steam. Hope Asta learns spell. Oh, I guess they're anti-spells though. Anti-spells. I'm a fan of Natsu, but I'm wank him up. What? I'm not gonna wake. I mean, listen. Like I said, Naruto versus Natsu is a little bit of a weird one, like, because Natsu has ways to take him down, but Naruto, like I said, has generally just, he can drop bigger attack, he can drop big attacks way more casually than Natsu can, but Natsu counters him in a lot of ways. The manga chapter for Naruto's inauguration. Oh, he got knocked out. I mean, yeah, but that was a gag thing, man. I'm gonna start like skimming some of these because you guys are talking about, you guys are really going into this Naruto conversation. I don't want to talk too much about it. Jura versus Jack. Oh, Jack. What's Jura gonna do? Like, he's just gonna cut through all the stone. Jack, if Jura had some hacks, that'd be different. Something to set up. But I mean, like, Jura is really just, you know, he's precision and, you know, heavy hitting. If he just went into brawling, I think he would have a better chance. But I definitely would give it to Jack, because Jack is somebody that does have like just a general advantage over Jura. Team Gon versus Team Ruby. I'd go Team Gon. Natsu completely demolishes Luke. There's nobody in One Piece that can fight Natsu at all, even base Natsu. My new season 70 cents. I don't have a Netflix account right now. I canceled it after like the stuff that went on with that cutie show because it was really gross. And really questionable. If they get a couple more shows with seasons that I want to watch, I might renew it, just because at that point I'll be like, okay, it seems to have calmed down, and I don't know though, because it was such an unfortunate thing that happened. It was disgusting. I know I probably just watched it on a different site, but I do want to watch the new season of Cobra Kai. The Buddha. Oh, dude, I've seen the Dragon Ball intros. Those game intros are good. People are just acting like he ate space time, dude. Oh yeah, he ate a whole new universe. People are talking about feats and power level stuff though. If you wanted to say strongest versions, I'd say Natsu for sure. EDF Natsu should be so much faster and so much more powerful. That multiplier that we got from Wolfen is ridiculous. Like, he's like, oh, that did 1/100th million, and then you look back at. You look at Selene saying, oh yeah, all the dragon gods are equal to each other, and she, like, there's no reason for her to lie, and she definitely is the smartest one we've seen so far. Like, we haven't seen Fairness yet, but, like, if you can just gauge Ignia, Alderaan, Mercephobia, and Selene, she's definitely smarter than them. So, she'd have no reason to lie about it. And Natsu bodied the hell out of him. So, imagine not that version of Natsu against Naruto. You have a counter, you have absurd hacks, and you have just outright higher speed, higher hitting. Like, it's crazy. He's just going to destroy him. Kaido sure didn't. Oh, one shot Luffy stop. I mean, yeah, I already got that. Let's see. I actually read the last One Piece chapter. Kaido didn't. I know, I said that, though. I was talking about the first time they fought. But even if you use current Luffy, what does Luffy do against Natsu? Natsu's taken internal damage and been fine. Natsu has passive heat radiation. Natsu, his base heat, not even him playful in base, was melting a mile-wide coliseum. And that's just AoE heat. That's not even talking about the general potency that he's going to be putting out with his just level. Natsu's body heat alone can melt steel. Natsu in Fire Dragon King mode, just the heat off of his body evaporated all of that lake. I can't pronounce the name of the lake. Lake Skolia, or I don't remember how to pronounce it. That's next to the guild. That thing's like 50 miles wide of a lake. Natsu evaporated it just from being close to it in Fire Dragon King mode. What does Luffy do? Nothing. Let's see, I'm scrolling down. Because like the thing with like Naruto is like there's an argument on both sides, like I said, because Natsu does counter him, but Naruto does have just general bigger moves that he can drop at a more casual rate. And then I'm not talking about EDF in general. I would give, if you put their current levels, not counting EDF, I would give it more to Naruto, just because, again, Naruto, I think, has more casual, bigger stuff to drop. But Naruto is also already at his peak. Natsu isn't even close to his peak. What are you talking about, though, Sin? Where have I said anything, Simet? I'm talking about, I've said a version of Natsu that he can't achieve on his own right now. But that's something that, when you look at the thresholds for, like, big people in Naruto versus big people in Fairy Tail, we have someone like Selene, who casually, not even doing effort, fucks with the moon. Like, she literally just points up at the moon and is able to affect the moon. She's doing stuff that it took the Sage of Six Paths 2 children to do together, and they're like twin Jesuses of Naruto. Selene does that casually. It's ridiculous. And like, look at Kaguya. Kaguya's big thing. Oh, I can do this weird dimensional portal stuff. Okay, put against Selene. She just walks out of there. She just walks out. She just doesn't care. I think Toto and Jitsukai seem friends with Wise. Oh, they'd be bros. They talk, you know, about tall girls with big asses, man. Ooh, dude, he'd love Selene. Selene in her human form is like 7 feet tall, and her ass is wider than her shoulders. It's like in the picture, the Selene agenda. Dude, sent for Selene. This is the new move. And people are just talking about Naruto now. I don't want to talk about Naruto. I'm scrolling down. I already read the Touch Gray. Xiaomei's in real life. Xiaomei is definitely really interesting. I want to see more of her. I'd actually really liked in Heroes in the extra bit when we saw her hanging out with Mavis. I thought that was really nice. Yeah, Luffy still got damaged, but it's like Luffy versus... Like, Luffy can't even take base Natsu. You put 4th gear... Any of Luffy's 4th gear forms in Space Natsu. Natsu's still destroying him. Everyone is going to... Noelle and everyone's going to be country level to learn about magic. That doesn't matter, though. Base... Spriggan level people in base are continental. Like, country level doesn't do anything to them. And ultimate magic, as we've seen, is something that you have to have multiple people for. You have to charge up. And it's not something that they can do by themselves. Look at Licht. Licht used the Aeon Slash using his connection to other elves. It's not something he did just based off of his own magic. He had to borrow the magic of all these other people. Granted, I mean, like, she can do that if she could maybe do something like eventually, because we know that Noelle has a very high potential of just raw mana. But, I mean, it's not something she's going to do when she just pops back up. Noelle isn't going to pop back up and be able to just casually, by herself, drop country-level attacks. That's ridiculous. I mean, literally, if you put Noelle versus Lucy, Lucy summons Gemini, Gemini turns into Noelle, and then you have Lucy versus Noelle. And then, not even that, you could have also Lucy summon another spirit, and she does Star Dress. Shiki can't do a black hole. He hasn't done that. I see people talking jokes now and flaming each other, making pokes and puns. Ursa beats Delta. I mean, yeah. I mean, she should be able... Delta... Did Delta have anything crazy besides, like, laser beams? I don't remember her having anything that crazy, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, her human form, she's, like, 7 feet tall. Look at her next to Ferris. Look at her next to the women when she got out of her bath and they were drying her off and giving her clothes. She's, like, a solid 2 heads or so taller than them. They maybe go up to her shoulders. Let me get the picture here. Let me pull that up. Where's my phone at? I have this saved because I was talking about it. I actually really like the fact that her human form is that tall, because it gives her a presence by itself. Not even talking about, obviously tall chick, built thick, but she's mostly looking down on people. So like when we saw with Ferris was terrified under her. Like she was looking at this chick who's like twice her damn size. Let me see. There we go. I just posted it on, and I just gotta get it and I'll put it in the stream. Let me see this. Yeah, the girl that is putting it on. Oh my god, the girl that's putting on or using a towel to help dry her off. She's going on her tiptoes and barely at her shoulders. She's so damn tall. Let's see. Okay, where's my Streamlabs? This is something we're gonna get to before this stream is over. We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about Selene's height. Let me see. I'm gonna add a picture, image, head source. Oh. Actually, look, I was gonna add something, but I was like, I actually have a picture that's been sitting in the background that I haven't fixed yet. Let's see. Where's my Selene folder? I've started a Selene folder recently. There's only a couple pictures in there, but I need to... I guess actually now it's useful because this is gonna help help cover the topic I was talking about. Here it is. So here is Selene. This is Selene getting out of the bath, alright? Look at this girl that is, like, I was gonna say to her right, and I was like, oh, wait, no, it's her left, it's my right. I'll just, it's right here. Actually, can you guys see my cursor? I don't know. I mean, either way, it's gonna be on screen. It's to her left. This woman is on her tiptoes. You can see at her feet. Can you see my... No, you can't see my cursor on Streamlabs. I actually didn't know that. But look at her feet. She's on her toes. She is clearly elevating herself. She is not even... Like, the top of her head isn't even at Selene's shoulders. That's covered. There's nothing crazy on there. I'll just say it's educational. Apparently, you can have naked yoga. There are people on YouTube. If you search up naked yoga, and I don't say you should, but it's non-censored. Non-censored. There's just girls in there doing naked yoga because it's, quote unquote educational. Yeah, but yeah, look at her. She's tall. Yeah, she is very tall. No, I'm good, man. I'll be okay. YouTube is surprisingly nice to me. Yeah, there's so many comments I want to get to. Shiki versus Luffy? Oh, Luffy. Shiki doesn't have anything yet that do anything to Luffy. Because, like, that's a thing as well. Like, not even talking about power level-wise, just talking about what Shiki can do right now. Even with Shiki's whole thing about, like, making concept slider heavier, we don't know the extent of it. Right now, it's just with pain. Shiki doesn't really have anything to do to Luffy. Because it's like, what are you gonna do to a guy who's made of rubber by pressing gravity on him? He's just gonna, he's just gonna squish. He's gonna get up. I mean, granted, he more than likely will get so hacked later on that there's nothing he can really do about it. But that's so much further down the line that I don't think it's gonna matter. It's not really gonna matter. But yeah. Let me see. My headphones just did a beep. That's a sign that their battery is low. There's so many comments, but I gotta wrap it up. I've been going at what, like almost 3 hours. Yeah, nude yoga. It's why? I mean, like, I'm not gonna say like, oh, you're not allowed to have that. Like, they can make their own rules, but like, I know that YouTube has like, has had some rule. Like, I've gotten demonetized on a thumbnail that showed cleavage, so it's like, why can this chick do fully exposed yoga videos, and I can't even have a thumbnail of a drawn person in a fictional series, like her cleavage in a thumbnail. It's ridiculous. I'm willing to bet that the YouTube, they don't care. But yeah, let me just kind of go there. Oh yeah, Selene. Oh yeah, definitely love Selene. 100%. The Sub for Selene arc. Serious Island Nazi versus Marineford Luffy. That's a little bit more of a difficult one. I would say Natsu, because Natsu should counter him just, fire versus rubber. Because that's like Natsu before he started to get some of his like crazier abilities and feats, and then like Luffy before he got hockey and whatnot. Luffy before he started to like really get powerful. Like there's a definite gap between like Grand Magic Games Natsu and Serious Island Natsu. The same thing with like Marineford to Fisherman Island Luffy. There's a big gap. But anyway, I'm gonna call the stream. It's been over almost 3 hours. I'll still think about making the Discord. I know people want it, but at the same time, like I want to avoid that drama. I kind of like the idea that I've just been kind of Discord hopping between different people. But anyway, yeah. Talk to you guys a different time. I'm gonna try and keep Saturday streams as my normal stream day. Did I stream last week? I'm pretty sure I streamed last week. Either way, I'm gonna try and stream regular. Oh no, I streamed on Sunday, I think, last week, because last week there wasn't a chapter day. But yeah, I'm gonna close up the stream. I gotta not look at the comments because I'm gonna end up going on another half-hour rant. Happens all the time. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, Jake Miller and Red Space Ranger, for the super chats. Thank you everyone who showed up, liked the stream, or chatted. And yeah, anybody who wants, Twitter under the same handle if you want to ask me more questions or just say hi to me or whatever. Maybe you just want to see me on the TL. Subscribe, you know, if you haven't. Check out my other videos. And like I said, subscribe to all the homies that I mentioned. Subscribe to Josuke. Josuke is the one definitely first, just because we got to get him to 1,000. But other than that, like Core Incredible, RTL Faith, even Broku and J Cloud, even though they're massive, but we still got to support them as much as possible. Support all the homies as much as possible. Everybody. Hope I didn't miss anybody. I was just trying to shotgun people's names off. Just kind of like the regular folks. There's obviously more people just adjacent that I see all the time, but yeah, other than that though, comment below. Thumbs. Oh, wait, no, this isn't a video, this is a stream. Yeah, I'm gonna close the stream. Anyway, bye.